Okay, so first off, I want to get in here. Obviously, Vic, appreciate you joining me today. I'm really interested in the fact that not that your type of content, the kind of content that you create, is so popular that you have like millions of followers on TikTok and obviously on these social platforms, you're doing really well. I'm more surprised at your age and your ability to speak eloquently about topics that are really profound and that are actually really helping in things that are beneficial to people. At the same time, I find it interesting because like you lie on a side of social media that at one point was really just not necessarily niche that people didn't want or didn't need it, but it wasn't as popular. Like speaking about things that are just a little bit more heartfelt, a little bit more serious, the kind of content I really love, and that's how I found you. So I saw your content. I'm like, wow, this. And I remember looking at how old you are. I'm like, this guy's fucking so young, speaking about these kind of things. Right? Like, have you always been that sort of character, like in your life? Were you growing up where you were like having sort of like deeper conversations, more meaningful conversations with people? Or is it like a thing that you were just like, it kind of came about just because of the hair cutting thing?
Yeah, I've always kind of been that person that carried that energy, trying to bring some sort of positivity and drive to what we were doing. I saw early with a lot of things that I was first in love with, first being skateboarding, wanted to be a pro skater. And like, if it's either pro or I'm not doing it at all, or running track, and either I'm going to college or I'm not going to do it at all, or I'm going to box.
That's how you took everything.
I took everything like that, and I brought that energy from my circle a lot. And I saw responsibility for having so much wisdom being young, because it's a blessing to me, man. I'm so grateful for the way that I speak and the way that my mind works, and I take responsibility for that to try to be the change I want to see for my generation.
Now, so you talk about like having that ability. Has that been learned? Was it a learned thing, or is it like what essentially what I'm trying to understand is like, what have you, I guess, gone through in your younger life that you think put you or gave you this sort of mental clarity? Because it's not like a normal thing. And even people who go through tons of stuff, sometimes they're just maybe not as well adept to like figure it out or piece together the pieces so that you can, put together a well thought out idea around what you've gone through, right? Because all these kind of conversations and things that you're able to say, you could tell. I mean, I watch a lot of your stuff. There's not tons of edits. It's like it's real. It's pretty raw. So it's like for it to come from a place of like in this conversation right now, it's just a genuine spot. It means it has to be something that really resonates actually with you. Otherwise, you'd be like, oh, I got to sound like this. I got to say this. Hopefully, they get me when I talk like that. And you just kind of like it's free.
Yeah, there was a lot of confliction in the beginning. Of course, I think I got a natural talent to speak. I've always been really good with my words, really good with people. And those were skill sets I found early on from, working in a restaurant. It was like my first job. First I was flipping sneakers, but then I got a job at 15 washing dishes because I'm like, I was flipping sneakers and this shit just was getting dangerous. People trying to scam me left and right. I wanted to make sure I had like security. So I got this job at a restaurant that was in front of my house, and I was washing dishes at 15, cooking at 16 in the back of the kitchen, serving at like, 17, 18. And when I got to be a server, it's funny because it's such a similar job to what a barber is as well. People coming through the restaurant, and I got to learn how to speak to every table because I want all of them to tip me. I need this money. I need to make sure that everybody that comes in to sit with me knows that they feel comfortable talking to me with whoever it is. I don't know who comes in the restaurant, but I also don't know who would come into the barbershop. Like, I'm ready to accept whoever's at my table. Concept, I got a lot of, just speaking to different types of people, and a lot of those skill sets came early through that. But then, of course, you got to put 10,000 hours into anything that you feel like you want to do, like to this extent. So there is a moment in my time where, I've gone through a situation where I was, all right, let me tell you this story. All right.
Yeah.
I was an educator for a clipper company called Babyless Pro, and I remember we had this retreat one day where we like would have this team retreat where all these barbers that work on this team, ambassadors, would get together in Miami and like hang out, and it was just we would work as a team building for the weekend, and we all had to say a speech, not all of us but 3 of us. And during this time, I'm trying to do motivational videos because I have such an interest to it. And I saw the power of like how somebody can make you feel just talking raw with no music, like no nothing, just like this dude's going to speak and he captures my energy. And I love that. I found that early on, like trying to motivate myself and finding those speakers online. So, we get to this elevator speech that like, all the team nominated these 3 people to do.
Yeah.
And I'm one of the third I'm one of the 3 people, and I'm going last because, you know, Vic's the youngest. He going to speak or whatever. So my 2 guys go before me, and they kill it in front of the whole company, corporate there, the team there. And I'm only like, I think 19 at the time, 19. And I think in my head, I'm the best speaker because I just got passion for it, right? I got the passion. I felt like I'm good with my words. I think I got good vocabulary, and I just thought I had it. And I go and do this speech, and it was just they said, do a speech on anything that you want to talk about. And I was like, you know, I don't really know what I'm going to talk about.
Do you remember any bits of the speech?
Yeah, there's a video of it somewhere. Well, let me tell you how this goes. So,
yeah.
You know, they're like, you know, write whatever you want, you know, talk about whatever you want. And, you know, I'm just like putting shit together on a fucking piece of paper, just, you know, whatever it is that come to my mind. And I get up there, I probably get through my first intro, which was about myself. But then when I had to get to the real shit to talk about, I froze.
Yeah.
And I froze for like 10 minutes. And you got to imagine like 10 minutes of quietness. And I'm looking at a room.
Wait, they let the room go quiet for 10 minutes?
Everybody watch me. You
for
know,
10 minutes.
For like 10 minutes.
Holy shit, that's a long ass time.
It's a long ass time to be standing in front of like a group of people like that.
That's
and,
like I heated up fucking
you know, a couple
rice.
people like, you know, like Vic, like, you know, you got it. Like, come on, man. Like trying to clap me up. And I'm like, you know, I'm stuck. And there was a real moment where I saw like, for one, I'm not as good as I think I am. Like there's people that fucking work on this way harder than me. And then 2, I'm never talking about some shit that isn't real to me again. Like, I'm never making some fake-ass shit up again. One of my favorite rappers is Jadakiss, and he has a song called Things That I've Been Through. Yeah. And he says specifically in that song, I can only speak on the things that I've been through. Yeah. And I was like, you know, that's why it's not working for me, man. Like, I'm inspired, and, like, my heart is in the right place when I'm looking at other people speak and talk motivation. And I'm just repeating the same things they're saying because I think it's working for them. And I'm like, yo, I'm young. I just want to, like, get into this so bad, and I want to have, like, such big impact one day. And I had to go through my lesson of that. So after I, you know, choked in that speech, the next day I flew back home, and they told me about like Toastmasters. Like you could join Toastmasters and work on your public speaking for like, you know, a couple bucks a month, and you'll go there and start to work on like what it is to speak and what that looks like. And the day that I landed, you know, I landed at 4:00 back home in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and like there was a Toastmasters meeting the same night at like 6:00. I drive straight home, and I go to the same meeting the same night, and I go consistently for like the next year, just like working on what it is to like present something and speak.
Did it actually help you say?
I think it helped a lot, you know, maybe not. So like, I can't tell you a specific like thing out of that class where like, oh, this helped change, but I got around people who were also like interested in speaking. Like, what does it mean to like capture attention? Is, you know, there's some technical aspect to it. Wanting to be a good speaker, you know, getting your message across, because you could just have a lot of really good shit to say. And I think a lot of people have good shit to say, but don't really know how to say it.
Right.
And I had to learn how to really get my ideas and my words out there. If I wanted people to understand what I was about and who I am, I got to know how to tell my story. I got to know how to tell my feelings. Like, that was something I had to work on. It was not a choice for me.
You know, the thing that's the most interesting part of the thing that you said earlier, and out of all that, was you decided that if you were going to speak on something like your favorite rapper, that verse, saying something that actually comes from you. And I could tell you without a doubt, in my life, everything that I've done that I've been most successful at, and all the conversations that I've had that have been the most impactful for me, and assuming so for other people based on response, has been when it was just like, this is just me saying my opinion on my life and what I've been through, what I thought about it, how it made me feel. Because you can't deny that kind of stuff, right? And you also, you can't necessarily fake it. Like, you can't just go, oh, because that guy sounded cool and he said that, I'm going to stand up here and say this. It is just real. So that's the thing that I think, regardless of how much learned information you can have revolving around like public speaking or speaking in general or wanting to be motivational, that's the thing that like you can't fake. So the thing that I'm curious about is, you do speak about like a lot of topics that, you know, there's a wide range of it. What have you gone through in your life that you think taught you most of this stuff? Like, what was your childhood like? Besides just your early adulthood, what's your childhood like?
A lot led up to being the person that I am today. You know, so I'm glad you asked that question, because, you know, I didn't have. It's not like I had the roughest childhood in the world, bro. I didn't, you know, grow up crazy poor, and I got this crazy like, you know, success ass story from like coming from the dirt. Like, bro, I came from really humble beginnings, but I'm not gonna sit here in front like, you know, dudes get on podcasts and talk about how fucking like, you know. Man, I had a military father. Yeah. You know, my dad joined the Army. And I would say that my parents had a life 10 times harder than me, bro. My dad grew up in Boston, extremely poor, Section 8. And, you know, he went through the bullshit. He went through the bullshit of, you know, trying to grow up in Boston with his brothers. You know, grandpa's left them, you know, mom and 3 kids in the projects, and they got to figure it out. Dad joined the Army to make that decision to leave. And he was the only one on that side of my family to do so. You know, so he was the one that, like, made that choice to, like, step out and have a family this way. And he joined the military. So he met my mom in Korea because my mom is from Russia.
Okay.
So she's 100% Russian. Dad's Puerto Rican. Joined the military. Met my mom in Korea. Proposed to her within months of meeting her. Took my mom and my older brother from Russia to, like, you know, Germany where he was stationed, and, like, moved them in, you know. And my mom said, like, when your dad proposed, like, I thought he was joking. You know, I'm like, yeah, sure. You know, this guy, like, only knew me for a couple weeks, hollering at me in Korea because my mom worked for, like, an airline company and she was down there. And, you know, that's how they kind of got together. But because of that, you know, growing up military, I moved around a lot.
Yeah.
Born in Germany, lived there for a couple years, moved to Texas, back to Germany, and then I found Fayetteville, North Carolina, where my dad was stationed at Fort Bragg in 6th grade. So I came to Fayetteville in 6th grade, and I spent the last 10 years there.
Yeah.
So, like, that's home. That's where I grew up. And, you know, I think, you know, where you spend, like, middle school or high school at is really where you start to, like, find out, like, this is home. This is going to have, like, a really big effect on, like, the person that I am. I'm trying to figure it out right now in this moment.
All right, quick interruption, boys. This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. Now, here's the deal. BetterHelp is a service that allows you to get therapy online. So you don't got to wait in offices. You don't have to, like, drive to the office. You don't have to sit in traffic. Let's give you an example. Let's say like you got an argument with your girl. You've been arguing with your girl for some time, and you're like, damn, like, I don't have anyone to talk to about my problems, because, like, maybe your boys would give you, like, crap advice because they're, like, you know, they're probably dogs, and you would go to your girl for, like, some heartfelt advice about other things in your life. But now you've been arguing with your girl. You can't talk to your girl. BetterHelp can be there to assist you. Look at that. See that? Easy. No judgment. No biases. Some of them give it straight to you, help you understand, help you get through it. If you guys are interested, if you want to try therapy, listen, I want to say this as well. Don't be shy. Also, don't be ashamed. I think that's something that a lot of people are just like, maybe. Just in general, men are somewhat kind of taught to keep their feelings inside, and I don't think that's important. I think it's much more important to let them out, to talk about them. All right, so to learn more, to get 10% off your first month, go to betterhelp.com/rawtalk. Again, that's better, HELP.com/RAWTALK. 10% off your first month. Let's get back into this podcast.
Yeah.
You know, because being young, I wish I was a little bit older, bro, so I can appreciate being in Europe and traveling as much as I did. And I thought it was regular, you know, as being a kid. Like, I thought, this is nothing, you know. So, but you get older, and it's like, wow, you know, I had a lot of blessings in my life early on that I want to go back and, like, feel again. So we get to Fayetteville, North Carolina, and it's such a special, unique place for a lot of different ways. Fayetteville is just a small town, but they do have a big Army presence with the base being there.
Yeah.
So you get to Fayetteville, and, you know, opportunities are scarce, you know, like, not a lot of exposure, not a lot of, like, motivation and just things for you to be able to do. It's just very small. So it taught me how to make something out of nothing.
Yeah.
And it's not that I had to even, like, be in the worst position there. Just being there already was terrible, bro. Like, you know, and even though, like, I would be in a nice house.
Terrible in what sense?
Like, when you don't have a lot to do in a small city, people result to violence because there's no outlets for kids. There's no programs. There's no, you know, places for us to hang out downtown. There's no, like, bars that are just safe, like, nothing there because people don't have a lot to do, nothing to show them. And then small town mentality, it almost becomes crabs in a barrel.
Yeah.
You know, because you grow up and you're starting to have these dreams like, man, maybe I could do this. Maybe I could be this or, you know, achieve this. And you're trying to tell people around you this that live in your city, and they've never left.
Yeah.
They've been there for 30, 40 years, growing up in the same spot, and they're alive, but they're not living.
Yeah, I get
So I'm trying to tell people around me that, like, yo, one day I'm going to be a millionaire. One day, like, people would, like, listen to my voice. One day I'm going to do this.
And they're
like,
probably like, yeah, okay,
they're
shut
like,
the
man,
fuck
shut
up.
the fuck up, dog.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you can't leave the Ville. It's like quicksand. So that's like a thing for us, man. It's like, make it out the Ville, make it out the Ville.
But that is so common everywhere. Like, for most places where people grow up, like, not necessarily, like, I guess LA, but even parts of LA, like, there's still places where when you grow up in a place, it is very common for the people around you who maybe want more out of their life, like you want more out of your life, they're not willing to put the effort to get more out of their life. And then they'll look at you like, oh no, that's too hard, that's too difficult.
Yeah, like, you don't need that. Like, you don't, like, I don't need that because you didn't need it.
Yeah, well,
Don't tell me I can't do this shit.
and it's not even so much that they didn't need it or they didn't even want it. It's just maybe they just weren't. They
weren't aware, you know,
or they didn't think they could. So then they look at you trying to do it and they put you down.
That's what I found. That's how my mindset has changed to it. And it's like, it's not that these people think that they can't have better. It's like lack of knowing what is possible for your life. And I think when you grow up in a small town where you're just not exposed to success at a high level, you're not really seeing people achieve a dream every day. You just don't know what's possible for your life. So I thank God that like barbering gave me an opportunity to travel early, like, you know, as I'm becoming like an adult, just out of high school, and I'm able to see the world, you know, and I credit my brother Dennis Smith Jr. a lot, which is my brother, he's an NBA player. He was the first one to ever like give me an opportunity to cut him because.
How did that come about?
Man, dude, I was working in the restaurant, man. I was just a server in the restaurant still. I was cutting a trainer of his named Rel, who would like get his haircut in my mom's garage because one day his car broke down in front of my mom's house. And like late night I'm in there cutting and I open my garage door and this dude is in front of me like in the parking lot with his car broke down and he's fixing his car. And I go over like, you know, like, hey, you good over here? You need anything? And I think we just start talking. I'm like, oh, my barber, this is my garage, my barbershop in the garage. He comes through, get a cut, and he's telling me like, yo, you know, my boy Dennis Smith Jr. about to go to the NBA. And I'm like, you know, I don't really know who that is, even though we in the same city. He's obviously doing his fucking thing. I'm just so focused on like just trying to do a fade. I don't give a fuck about anything else right now in this moment other than like trying to get my fades right. Yeah. So he's telling me over and over again, like, nah, he about to go. And I'm like, you know, we grew up in a small city, bro. Like, we hear that shit all the time. Like, oh, we about to do this. Someone's about to do that. Yeah. So, bro, I'm a server, right? Yeah. And I work in a sports bar. So, I kid you not, a month later, I'm working in that sports bar. I look up on the TV, like, as I'm waiting for my food to come out. And I see fucking number 9 draft pick, Dallas Mavericks, like Dennis Smith Jr. out of Fayetteville, North Carolina. I'm like, fuck, he wasn't lying, you know? So, a week goes by after the draft. He comes back home. And I just look in the corner of my eye as I'm working again. And I'm at the counter. And I just see somebody walk past, like, out my peripheral. And I kind of cut the corner. And I see him go in the bathroom. I'm like, oh, shit. Dennis Smith Jr.'s in the bathroom. There's an NBA player in the bathroom. I'm trying to tell the kitchen, like, dude, this is my moment. And I would take business cards to the restaurant for, like, my barbering. Right. And I would, like, pass them out to my tables after you would, like, eat a meal. I would bring your receipt and with the pen with also a business card wrapped under the receipt. Like, yo, if you also need a fade after, like, we eat, I get you tonight, you know? So I like, you know, I go and kind of wait for him to get out the bathroom. I'm in the area and like I kind of like just casually bump into him. I try to catch the timing to make it look natural, not knowing I've been waiting for this dude to, you know, outside. And, you know, I just bump into him. And the first thing on my mind, because I'm like, yo, this dude's an NBA player. It's probably so much attention being from a small town and going to the NBA, like in a high lottery pick. Like, attention's crazy. Yeah. I know my heart. I know I'm a good person. I know I'm only going to be here to service my brother and, like, take care of him. But, like, I want him to know that. Like, what do I say? How do I make him feel comfortable now? And I'm like, you know, I turn around. I'm like, hey, yo, ain't you real, homeboy? I didn't want to call him Dennis Smith Jr. off top. Because I'm like, yo, everybody's calling him that. Yeah. I wanted him to know, like, we had a mutual in this and, like, some family here intertwined some way. So I'm like, hey, ain't you real, homeboy? And he like, yeah, like, what's up? And I'm like, oh, shit. Well, like, congratulations on getting drafted, man. I like, you know, of course. But I'm a barber, man. And I cut Rel's hair. And, like, I would love to bless you with a haircut. The first thing he ever said to me after that was, we from the same city. So if you help me, I'm going to help you. It's the first thing he said to me. So I'm like, yo, let me show you my haircuts. I pick up my phone, and it's like that moment where, like, no data's coming to your shit. I'm fucking shaking, trying to show him a fade. Like, let me see your cuts. I'm like, hold on. And then he's like, yo, give me your card. I'm like, all right, bet. And I reach in my wallet, bro. I only had one business card left in my wallet. It was the last card. And, you know, things like that are not accidental. So I give him my card, thinking like, you know, he's not going to text me, man. Leaves and texts me. But to lead to where I'm getting at now is like, he gave me my first chance to, like, leave the city and see success at a high level up close. So he brought me to Dallas all his rookie year. He brought me to All-Star Weekend. He brought me to, like, dunk contest, you know, the whole 9 yards, doing exactly what he said. If I take care of him, he's going to take care of me.
At the time, as his barber.
As his barber. Just as his barber and, you know, becoming his friend. And, you know, like, so I got to see that, like, early and expose me, like, man, this is really possible for my life. He's living this real life in front of me, real time. I'm watching it happen. So I saw, like, man, the world's bigger than Fayetteville. And I came back with that mindset. And I remember the day that I cut him for the first time, I put it on my Snapchat story. I said, my life will never be the same after today. You know, because I thought originally that like it's crazy I say this, I thought like he would save me.
Yeah.
And that's not how the relationship was. He brought me everywhere, but like never was like, oh, you gotta fuck. Like never like just like forcing things in my hand. He only showed me what was possible, and allowed me to just grind and create my own like value to be up there with them. I had to just catch it.
So so really interesting. You talk about a few times in this story and prior about like seeing something being possible, right? Like so that knowing that you could do something before it's done, right? What would you say? Because obviously, like not every kid is gonna have an opportunity to like find themselves in that right position at the right time. What would you tell to a younger guy, right, or someone around your age that like if they don't have that vision of like what's possible, or if they're not able to get in a position where they could really see what's possible? Because I do definitely understand like the power in being in positions like that and the being like, oh, the world is much bigger than my hometown, than where I'm from, and it can be much bigger, and I can have these like opportunities, right? But not everyone is going to be able to have that ability. What would you say to that young guy? Like, what could he look at? What could he focus on in his life to start to try to create more opportunities for himself that he couldn't necessarily see?
Yeah, I mean, 3 things come to my mind immediately. First things first is like comparison is the thief of joy. Don't compare your life to anybody else that you see. And I know that we live in a time of social media where shit is like instant gratification. It's kind of what our generation is based on, is like
hugely,
getting instant gratification. But like success is when you can delay that. You could delay that process, be willing to wait for it, right? So we talk about like having faith for your dream. Faith is believing it when you can't see it.
Yeah.
So like I get it. You know, you may get on social media today and you see another kid younger than you probably, and like, and he probably got a Lambo truck. He probably got the girls, the whole 9 yards, the crib. And you like, damn, why don't I have that? You know, and it's like, yo, it's okay. Who cares if that man got it at 1920? It don't mean you have to get it at 1920. It doesn't mean that it's not going to come either. Like, it'll come.
Yeah.
Have faith in that process. So I thank God that, like, I was given a lot of things at a young age, but I know that it came with much more responsibility than just like, oh, I'm going to make your dream happen here. Yeah. Like, it was to be in a position that I am now. So don't compare it to anybody that you might see on social media. Like, fucking, you know, bro. I mean, 90% of the time it's not even real.
Oh yeah.
You know, so like
fact.
You're letting a fucking you're letting a like a myth. You're letting like some fake shit change the way that you think about yourself.
Even
like
I mean, it's a highlight reel for the most part. Like you said, a lot of it is not necessarily real, and a lot of it is just someone's best version of their life, which is not a clear version of their entire life, right? Or even how they got there. Because I remember at one point, like I don't know, I was like, I must have been on Twitter, and this was actually, I've talked about this, I don't know if a few times, but I remember at one point I was like, some guy reached out to me and said, yo, you should tweet this guy because he was talking about killing himself, right? And so I tweet the guy, and I was like, yo, bro, like, give yourself a little more time, you know? And his response to me was like, original response was like, fuck you. You don't know what I've been through. You have all this shit. Like, what? Like, where are you coming from to tell me otherwise, right? And long story short, because I don't want to get into crazy details about it, but I ended up like, I was like on the way to Brazil, and I come out. I don't hear about from this guy, but at this point in my life, he's now a friend of mine who sent me a picture of him and his daughter because he actually was going to kill himself. Told me that I didn't kill myself because of that thing, and then I reached back out to him. He flew out. I met him. I had conversation with him. All this crazy shit. But my point of saying this is like, he originally was like, you don't know what I've been through. You don't know what I'm going through. You don't know what's in my heart. And I couldn't argue that, right? But only thing I was trying to tell him was like, yo, give yourself a little bit more time because it's important so you can see the bigger picture. Because when you're in those moments that of like complete, like I'm ready to, you know, end my life. We talk about suicide a little bit. That like you don't see, you're almost like a horse with blinders on. Like you can't see the light. You can't see what else could be great out there because you're so focused on going down this path. Because that's a very serious thing. Like if you're thinking about that, you've obviously like foregoed all the other things that could be good potentially in your future, right? Because you don't see a future. So I talked to this guy, and now he like all the time will text me a picture of him and his daughter saying thank you and how old she is now. And like basically, you know, his daughter wouldn't have this father if I didn't come in and do that. And obviously it wasn't just me. Like he did make the decision to be like, you know what, fuck it. He gave me credit for like spurring, I guess, that switch to look somewhere else instead of like down that barrel. But the reason why I'm saying this is like, it's easy to see something when it's there that like, you know, you believe that it's possible. This idea that I could have more out of my life because you see it, because you're experiencing it. But when you don't see any possibility of something better, what would you say to that person? Like, how would you have them go through not seeing that possibility
Man,
at all.
I mean, I believe there's a test before every promotion. You know, that's truly what I believe. And, you know, as dark as some of those times may feel when you feel like you're getting tested, you know, I feel like, you know, you got to hold your faith. You got to hold your word. You got to get through it, because on the other side of all the pain and everything that you have to go through to get there, like, it makes you 10 times more grateful for it. And if you don't go through those times, it's hard to say, like, will I even appreciate this when I have it? So I talk about this a lot. Like, I thank God that I had to go through those things. I thank God I've been through the trauma that I have, because it made me really look at my life and understand that these things are precious. The biggest blessing that we take for granted, I heard, you know, Inky Johnson say this is the blessing of just getting home every day, safe. You know, so I think about, like, you know, it may not look like right now as I'm looking at it, like shit is hitting the fan, but it could be 10 times worse, bro. And if I'm here, the fact that I'm alive and breathing and I have all 5 senses, like, that is all that you need to turn it around.
Yeah.
That's all you need, bro. You don't need I promise you, bro, to turn your shit around, you don't need somebody to come save you. You don't need no fucking, like, you got it. If you have the strength, you got to understand that. You know, God give you everything that you need to get through it. You already equipped for it. So, like, test before promotion, and I look at those hard times. You know, even like 2 weeks ago, I'm going through a tough time, and I'm just, you know, really not, same shit. Like, I'm human too. I'm thinking, like, damn, what if this is like the start to the end? But I'm like, fuck no. Like, don't even start to think like that, because I know this shit will turn around.
Yeah.
And within 2 weeks, bro, not even knowing where the answers will come from, bro, people will walk into your life that you never know will have the impact on you that they do. And that's how the world, I've woken up some days, man, and gotten a call, and things have never been the same again. So I seen that happen, and it gives me enough hope to know that, like, you know, fuck, if it's not today, I can bet it might be tomorrow. Yeah. And if it ain't tomorrow, I can bet it'll be the next day. A corner could turn at any time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy too, because, like, the story that I was telling you, it's the guy, and I want to make this point in regards to this story, was like, the guy didn't see, right? So it also comes down to, like, perspective. He didn't see when he was telling me, yo, fuck, you don't know what I'm going through. When I finally got back to him, and because he was able to give me a little bit of time, then I started to talk to him a little bit more. He was like, oh, I didn't even realize you, because he looked at me as someone who, like, you have all this stuff, you have this money, you have this celebrity.
So you don't film, you know, like,
yeah,
like.
So he's like, I don't know what the fuck, I can't even listen to you, right? Like, fuck you, right? But then when I told him a little bit more about my life, because he, you know, he just probably wasn't following or as keen to all the stuff that I've talked about or gone through, because I've talked about this stuff to this point. But I told him specifically, I was like, yo, I've actually gone through this. I went through fucking my dad killing himself. I went through the ideas of suicide myself. I went through a depression. I've go through anxiety. Like, I've dealt with all that. And he didn't know that at the time, right? Because his only perspective was what his hurt was. And then he saw me as a person who was just like, you know, some celebrity person who was just like, yo, life can be better, man, I promise. So all this comes down to also perspective, right? You don't need, again, like we're talking, you were just saying, you don't need some celebrity person to say, like, yo, you can do it, bro. It is true, like, that sometimes it's easier to have that help, but at the same time, it is a fact what you said, that you do have what it takes. Like, and I talk to the kids, that'll be like, some kid came up to me like 2 weeks ago at the gym and was like, yo, bro, I really appreciate what you've been doing, like what you do. Like, I've been watching you for this many years, and you helped me lose all this weight, and like, you changed my life, and you saved me, and all this shit, right? It was such an interesting thing, because he was asking me, he was telling me how, like, I did all this shit for him, and he attributed, like, his change to me. And I was like, okay, well, first off, like, I appreciate that, and I appreciate the love, but at the same time, you put the work in, right? And then I asked him, and this was the interesting thing. He's like, yeah, you're right. He understood that. And then I asked him, and I said, well, why did you get to that point where you were overweight and you felt so bad about yourself? And on the same sentence, he's like, well, because he felt bullied. So at the same time, he understood that he had the power. He also was giving his power away to someone else because he got to that point. But obviously, at the same time, I wanted to make this known, he did that prior, right? So it's about, sometimes it's perspective and realizing, like, prior to him realizing he had his own power, he gave his power away to someone else who bullied him to, in his mind, to a position where he felt like, oh shit, I'm not good enough. I'm going to eat this food to make myself feel better. I'm going to do this to make myself feel better. All these, like, self-destructive behaviors to make myself feel better because I felt hurt from this person, right? And then some point comes in his life where he started watching some shit of me, or maybe someone sees some shit of you and they're like, oh, I could turn it around. And this is the thing that I'm getting to, the kind of conversation I'm trying to get to is like, then he changed his life and he's like, yo, it's amazing. I want to do this for other people. The thing that I find so interesting nowadays is like social media specifically, it's so divisive at times, like with this like cancel culture, this like censorship stuff, or just in general, the way people make content that is like just negative for society versus like positive for society.
Yeah, I mean, yo, not even to cut you off, but
Go
like
ahead.
the point that you said right there was the start of like the fire for me early, because being in Fayetteville and seeing the bullshit that would happen all over me, the people around me and people losing their life and going through shit, shooting and the whole 9 yards, like seeing that. And then looking around at like what we're indulging in at the time, I'm like, I graduated 2017 from high school. It sounds nuts to say, but during that time of like 2014, 2017, like media at that time, music at that time, culture at that time was just a lot about like drugs and lean and the SoundCloud era of like who could get the most face tats right now could be popular next week.
Yeah.
Who gets the craziest chain right now could be popular next week. And it's like who the fuck is 18, 19? Showing us how to really be successful and like really show us how to grow. So like that already bothered me, man. And like when you said earlier that I'm glad, like I really appreciate those words when you were like, you chose a hard path, and that's how I feel, because I get it, bro. It's not the most popular shit to say. I'm not the most like fucking, clickbaity name in the world. I'm not, popular to be on every show. I talk about some deep ass shit, but like I believe in what I talk about. And I'm willing to stand on it, and I believe in the power it has, and I don't care how long it takes, as long as somebody hears me, like I know I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And I didn't get into it understanding like I would even be here with the platform and the support that I have today. But you follow purpose, and if you believe where you're heading to, all the other shit is a byproduct of that process. God wants you to have money. He wants you to have the house you want. He wants you to have the car you dream. He wants you to eat how you want, but he wants you to know why you're doing it. And I found out why I'm doing it, and everything else took care of itself. But I figured out early on, like, if I'm going to do this shit, it's got to be purpose. And that changed my life, man.
Yeah. And I think it's really important to say this, like, if we talk about this idea of God and what you wanting or you having it and being able to have it, I think God also wants you to want it. Meaning, like, it's not enough to be like, you see someone else have it and you go, damn, that's cool, he has it. Like, you have to want it enough to put an effort to get it, even when you're not getting it. Even when it's not coming to you, even when you're like, fuck, I spent 2 years, I didn't get anything from this, but I was working on this and it didn't come to where I wanted it to be, right? I think it's really important for people, especially young people, to realize, because nowadays everything is so like you said earlier, you see the guy who's 20, you're like, he has this stuff that I don't have, and I'm 21 and he's younger than me, he's got it, I should have it. This comparison, right?
Yeah.
The fucking thief of happiness is the worst thing ever.
Shit to do.
And it's like so prevalent nowadays because of the internet, because of social media, because of TikTok, all this shit. Like, it's like baked into it. The fact that like you get on TikTok and you can get views because someone else uses a sound that's popular that everyone's using, they do the same thing. You get views based on the fact that you're all doing the same shit. Like, people are so wrapped up in this idea of like, I don't know if it's copying or like following or just that idea in general, but that can create this mentality in people that like, because they don't get what someone else has doing what someone else did, then they have this look on themselves like, wow, well, am I not good enough? And ultimately it goes back to the same thing we were talking about earlier. Why are you actually doing something? Like, it actually means something to you, right?
Yeah.
In your conversation, remember you said about the verse, the Jadakiss verse, right?
Things that I've been through.
Exactly. So like, you have your success in your ability to relate to people because of your own journey. And people are looking now at everyone else's journey being like, oh, they have this, why don't I have that? It's like, well, it's not your fucking life.
And then also too, like, even to the successful people, I know we talked about it also, like not being real, but then sometimes it is real. And what I've learned is like, who knows what that person been through, but nobody's been through what you've been through. So like,
right.
Don't, you can't just expect to have anybody else's life. Even the people that are successful, I might see it online. I'm like, damn, that looks like amazing. It's not, oh, I deserve that too. It's like, man, maybe that person honestly just like earned it. And like, I got to earn it myself. I don't always look at it like, man, like an envious type of feeling. But like, sometimes it's just like, man, that person really is deserving to be in that position.
Yeah. Well, it's all perspective. Like I was saying earlier, it's like you could see something just for what it
is.
is.
Yeah. So many, you can see it so many different ways.
But that's why social media is becoming this like really interesting place, in which I'm also just grateful that there's more people like you. I originally reached out to you because I'm just glad that there's more people who are like, and actually wanting, you're proving that there's more people that actually want that sort of content that is not just
you know,
like some chick.
Here's what I think about it, man. Like, I believe in what I'm saying. I know it's like coming from the heart. I know it's coming for like, I know my words. I feel like some of my words are prolific sometimes. Like I feel I'm here for a fucking mission, man. And I may not say the shit that you say in the club. You know, whatever I do may not be the thing you yell in the club, but I guarantee it's the last thing you think about before you go to bed. And everybody is lying that they tell you that they don't think about that real ass shit at least once in their day. You know, but I think opening people up to see like you can be vulnerable and still be successful. Because I think even some artists or some people that live these images that they have on social media, I think that like if I tell them how I really feel, I'll lose this. And it's not the case, man. Because I think, you know, support and creating a brand and a fan base, like they just want to know that it's real and that it's like tangible. And that's something that I've communicated through my brand. And like as I was intentional with building this, I have tangible written down on like my things. Because if I'm going to be this inspiration, I need to let people know how I really got here and how they can do it too. Because if I could do it, you literally can't. Everybody can't be exactly me, but I promise, like, I never want you to feel like I'm out of reach to you. Like, I want everybody to come up to me, feel like they can hug me and like tell me how they feel. So like those were things that I thought about, and I try to express that through my building phase. But I have a question for you too, because you said it earlier with like, you know, people copying and doing this because they see like a sound. Like, how do you feel when people copy you, and how do you take that?
It's interesting. Nowadays I don't care at all anymore. Nowadays I expect it.
Tell me how you looked at it first, and tell me how you look at it now.
Well, I'm going to tell you that. So I remember back in like 2012, it must have been, because I started Instagram very early. I started Instagram the beginning of 2011, end of 2010, when it started, which is fucking forever ago, right? I'm 33. So long story short, I was on social media very early on. I had like a Twitter in 2008. I was always trying to figure out this internet thing, because in my mind I was like, damn, if I could just like do stuff on the internet, that means I could, because
what you want to do on the internet, you know, because like
I'll tell you,
because look, I'm gonna tell you this. Obviously, I know who you are. I don't know your story.
Yeah.
You know, and I didn't want to know, because I wanted this to be an honest, genuine like interaction. I didn't want to watch an old. I wanted to like get this right here raw and like real time, and have a real reaction to like things that you would tell me. So because of that, I didn't go through like, you know, I didn't do my due diligence like I normally would do it, like as far as a journalist. But you know, I just wanted to like listen, man. So I'm just here to listen.
Yeah, it's fine. That's great. That's pretty much how I do most of my podcasts. So anyways, just to give you some perspective, like I said earlier, I grew up without a father. Took his life when I was 6. He hung himself.
I'm sorry about that, brother.
It's fine. But so long story short, I was always a very like introspective, like not super extroverted person. So I was really into playing video games. So when I'm like,
what game?
Unreal Tournament, Halo, Diablo, fucking World of Warcraft, StarCraft, like you could all this old school shit. Like everyone listen to this.
Did you play RuneScape?
I played a little bit of RuneScape, but I never got into it.
I played the fuck out of some RuneScape.
Yeah, I never really got caught into that too much. I played it a little, but I was more like Diablo and shit like that. So anyways, long story short, I was a kid, so I'm like 14, 15, 16, and I'm thinking like, because I had a tour 2008, I think I was 16 years old. So my idea was, I remember reading all the time on these websites, they would talk about like how e-commerce and how like social media is going to change the world. And before, so none of this existed like this.
I mean, I'm 8 years old at that time.
Yeah.
You know, like
2008. So none of this shit existed. So I'm like reading these articles at like 15 years old, like this, it was on this site called CNET. And I'm reading these articles about how like social media is going to change the world and e-commerce is going to change the world. And so I'm like, well, what is that? And I'm looking at it, it's like, oh, money made on the internet, e-commerce.
What are you doing in 2008 for your job at this time? What are you doing?
I worked at Quiznos.
Quiznos.
Yeah.
Were you still were you swole?
No, I was skinny as fuck. I was skinny.
Bro,
I was like you.
Fuck, I can imagine like a swole ass Bradley working at Quiznos making
I was skinny.
A fucking sandwich, like just massive.
No, dude, but I kind of quit from Quiznos because like I wanted to make bigger sandwiches, but the lady was always mad. So you can only make this little sandwich, like the ones you get.
You trying to hook the folk up that come through. You trying to hook them up.
And myself though, I was trying to get the bigger. Anyways, long story short, I was so interested in video games and being at home that I was like, yo, if I could figure out a way to make money on the internet, that'd be amazing, because then I could play video games. So my idea of this, it spawned from a place that was pretty selfish and pretty introverted, where I was like, I just want to like be able to figure out a way to make money on the internet. So long story short, I had always been ahead of the curve as far as like downloading these apps, and they were talking about Instagram was going to come out. And I was like, oh, this is because I was on Twitter and I was like, I don't know how to fucking use this shit. It was like before Twitter looks like it is now. Back in the day, it was just like this ugly ass notepad looking website where it looked like a notepad. Like if you could imagine what your notes look like before they updated iOS 1,000 times, it was like, it looked like an actual notepad where you typed, and like, it was just, they were talking about people were making money in the fitness industry. And I was like, I was always interested in working out. Instagram comes and I'm thinking like, oh, this sounds like it's it. And so I'm downloading this app. It's only on the iPhone. I'm telling all these people to fucking follow me. Like, cause at this time I'm working at the gym. This is in like late 2011. And I'm working in a 24-hour fitness. And I'm like telling these people to follow me.
Who, just anybody you see?
Anyone, people that I work out with, like not just anyone random, but I was a trainer. So at this time, fast forward years now in 2011. And I'm telling my buddies like, yeah, this is going to be it. Like, they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Because at the time people were just using that app and it was an app that like Instagram was a same thing it is now with followers and stuff, but like no one was on it. And you would take a picture and you'd pick like an ugly ass frame. I mean, I don't even think.
I remember like obviously being like 2012 ish. Yeah, like I remember like they would have like certain presets and like everybody would use that one that kind of had like the film like photo thing at the bottom, and it was like these. If you was on Instagram as like OG, everybody knows exactly what like an OG Instagram filter looks like. And if you showed me a photo now, I would know exactly like, oh yeah, he took that on Instagram.
But they didn't even use Instagram. Like they would just use it for the filter, take the photo, and then put it on Facebook.
Bro, I would put that fucking Vigente shit, the darkness around I would do that shit to every photo that I did.
Yeah,
I would do the circle blur. I would circle blur, and like you know how they had that thing where you could do the circle or you could do the straight line. Yeah, and it would blur everything else, and I would just fucking blur everything.
So you was in the middle, like, dog, that's hilarious. So yeah. Anyways, long story short, I was just like, I was so like, damn, I want to figure out how to do this thing on the internet because again, it spawned from the idea of I want to be able to like play video games straight up and just be like in my house. So, long story short. I was probably one of the first creators on Instagram in the fitness space to really blow up. And so the reason why I'm telling you this story, because it relates to being copied, right? Because that's what your question you asked.
Copy. Yeah. How do you feel?
In the beginning, I was one of the first people to sell this thing that everyone calls now, is very readily available and known as online coaching in the fitness space. And people I'm sure that lane is probably like everyone's making tons of money doing this now. So I remember doing this, and all the other, I remember I was like the first person with like 10,000 followers on Instagram. And I swear to God, I remember this because I remember going to a fitness like convention. 10,000 is crazy, right?
Yo, I know, because I actually have a nutty social media like backstory, but I'll let you finish. I got you.
So I'm like going to a fitness show because I was competing around the time. And I literally remember walking past someone in Culver City Auditorium here in LA, and I was going to do the show. And I'm walking past, like, I must have my tan on and everything. And I'm walking past.
And they said, is that
yeah.
Bradley?
No, not even that.
Is
not
that
even that.
Bradley fucking Martyn? Are you fucking kidding me, bro?
Nah.
Are you fucking?
No, they were like, I wasn't even, my name wasn't cool then. But they said, that's the guy with 10,000 followers.
Oh.
Yeah. I was like, yo, you know what it is? I was like, you know what it is?
10K me.
I was like, get me, because I had the K. So anyway,
K was serious.
So anyways, like that was my life, and I was like thinking, oh, this was cool. And then I started to grow more. And I think around like 300,000, I started selling this online coaching thing. And everyone was like, bro, I remember that I had friends, other people that had like, 10, 20, 30,000, 50,000. I would like write these captions, and I would create these little like squares.
How
like
do you, I don't even know, maybe this is a too deep a question. I'm just thinking about how do you gain on social media that early? What the fuck do you, no reels, no, like, how do you gain?
I think because it's so visual.
You feel me? Because there's like, there's methods to like creating certain content and reels, and what's like, yo, early on, I can't believe like how, I don't even know how you would find like other shit.
Yeah, well, back in the day, bro, like Instagram it had one explore page. And if you got on that one explore page,
there wasn't the categories.
There was no categories. There's no based on what you like. There was none of that. It was just like if you got on that explore page because your photo got enough. It just worked like this. Instagram used to be Instagram. You posted at like 5 o'clock on like a fucking Monday because people were out of work, and you knew that.
You find engagement. That's how I would do a lot of my early videos, and I would like time it to be at the top of like, because then they created those like the sub, like the explore page with different categories.
Yeah, based on what you like, based on who you follow.
I learned that if I hashtag a fat, and it's funny, I still post hashtags on every video. If you post fat hashtags and got all your followers to engage with it, you'd be at the top of every hashtag.
Yeah. So back in the day, bro, it was like none of that existed. It was just if you got a photo that got enough engagement fast enough, you got on this explore page for 3 days. And if you were on there for 3 days, bro, you'd get thousands of followers. Like you would just stack followers because it was the whole app. It wasn't like Instagram here, Instagram there. It was one explore page for everyone.
Everybody.
So you would grow like that. But anyways, long story short, I'd post these like captions, and I post these little squares that was selling online coaching. And I was doing really well when I first started this. And I remember seeing other people who had similar followings, a little less. Maybe it sometimes started growing a little more. Girls would typically get more followers faster because it was very visual. Like how you grew back then, it was because I think fitness did really well because it was visual. You'd see someone with abs. You'd see someone who looked good, and you were like, you clicked, you wanted to like it, right? But then I noticed people would start copying like literally word for word, like these captions that I would write is when I was selling the coaching and so I was like blocking all these people, and I remember being so mad. And then it got to the point where I just realized like, yo, I'm fucking Coca-Cola and all these people are Pepsi, bro. Straight up. They were just trying to play catch up. But it pissed me off because when people were like straight plagiarizing word for word shit, that's when I was like, yo, it's kind of disrespectful to me. Cause it's like,
it hurts a little bit, bro. I mean, it does sting a little bit. I feel the same when I would first see like, man, this dude stole my idea exactly word for word. And when you like value your ideas as a creative person, like, but that's really like sensitive to take somebody's idea. I would never steal somebody's idea.
There was a person that literally like, I don't know if I ever talked about this, but there was a person that like I used to hashtag the online coach, and there was a dude who literally created his whole brand, the online coach. And I remember texting him being like, yo, what do you like? Because I remember I would hashtag it all the time. And then one day I saw he started hashtagging it, and I was like, what the fuck? I was like, yo, like, are you? He's like, oh, pretty much too late. I already got a website. And I didn't know about that at the time. And I was like, oh, this motherfucker just like, the thing that I was making a thing and I thought I was making a thing.
Someone
straight
snatched it.
It was like, it's my website and this is my brand now. And I remember being like, holy fuck. So that was like my very first experience where I was like,
hold on, because that's such an important lesson, bro, to fucking protect your ideas.
Huge.
And protect your dreams.
I just didn't even know it was a thing that had to be protected until it was too late. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I wish I would have known, but obviously that's the thing with all this stuff, and we keep talking about it, is like my whole life is an example of going through things so that like now I know more because I've been able to go through it and deal with it and understand it. And it's all a real experience for me. It's not like I saw someone else go through it and like, oh, I get it and I should look out for these things. Like I know what I know because I've fucking been through anything you could think of in this fucking industry in regards to like all this kind of shit, being taken advantage of, all this shit, man, like everything. So I'm not at all like upset about it. So when you ask me now, then how I felt, it was like, yo, fuck these people. They're copying me. It was younger me too. Younger me was like block, block, block. And now I'm at a point now where I'm like, I just don't give a fuck because I expect it. Because if someone sees this is good, I can't expect someone else to be like, oh, I could do that in my way. It hurts when they do like directly. But at the same time too, like if we're talking about this kind of content, wouldn't you want generally in general more people to copy your content just because it's better for people?
So let me tell you how how I felt, because I see it now, and it's never something I really even talked about because there's lots of people doing like free haircut videos and they tag me every day in it, and like, yo, I love it.
Yeah,
I absolutely love it. I can't even believe it sometimes looking at people doing a free haircut video, and I'm like, damn, man, like he's really doing this. And at first when I saw it, it rubbed me wrong because I'm like, man, I worked through trial and error to find this format and find like, where I'm at. So when you have this creative idea, you kind of like want to protect that and think it's yours. But then like, yo, very quickly I understood like, man, I checked myself, and I check myself a lot. And I check myself, I'm like, nah, that's selfish. Like that's really selfish you to think like that because you said that you want to do this to impact. And if I have, inspired somebody in a way to go do the same thing for their people, I feel extremely grateful to do so. So now when I see barbers like do free haircuts in the community, bro, I like light up, and I'm like, dude, like hell yeah. There's a guy, let me go ahead and give him a shout out right now. There's a barber named Too Cute from Lagos, all the way out there, like, in Africa or somewhere like that is doing exactly like word for word, like free haircut videos, and he loves it.
Does he speak as well?
It's English. He just like, he's practicing his English in another country, bro. Yeah. And he's interviewing these people in his country, bro. And they have nothing. Like you could look on the outside and it looks like maybe they have nothing as far as physical, but like, I believe you have everything when you do shit like that. And I've watched his videos, bro, and he's loving it, bro. Each video, he's probably done like 30, 40 videos on his page and they only have like 50, 10, 15 likes on it. Yeah. But he's doing it and doing it and doing it and he loves it and he's inspired. And like that, I looked at that shit and I'm like, you know, man, to anybody out there that is inspired, you know, I would encourage you to like, you know, make it your own thing. But if I can help be a part of that process for you to feel like you want to make a change, I feel honored to do so, man.
Yeah.
For real.
It's beautiful. That's how it should be. Let's talk about the bigger picture of social media in general, in the sense of like, do you think social media is a net positive or a net negative for people?
It's funny you brought perspective up so early because that's how it is. You know, like how you could look at it from a magnitude of different ways.
Yeah.
You know, for me, I looked at it like, yo, if I feel like my purpose here is to motivate and inspire, then this platform and this tool of social media allows me to do that and connect with people I may never really ever physically get to see. People across the world, people in different countries, people in different states. Like if my purpose is to get my word out and inspire as many as I can, then this is a tool to help me do so.
Yeah. You know what's interesting about that? The question I even asked in your response is the platforms themselves also kind of show you more of what you look for, just in general, based on the algorithms. Because the whole idea of the platform is to keep you on the platform longer. So in general, and I've learned this just from like, I know enough about social media. I've been on it for long enough. You see how it changes, you see how it moves. Even how we talked earlier about Instagram being like, this is based on stuff you like. This is based on people you follow. So it almost puts you in ecosystems based on the kind of content that you watch. So overall, I think it can be a really net positive if you're looking for it to be. Right?
Yeah, if you want it to be that.
Yeah, and what you look at, because it's like if anyone could do this. Anyone could take this test right now. If you go on your social media, you look on TikTok or you look on Instagram, if you start looking at, let's just say, for example, pictures of girls, and you start doing that on your social media, next thing you know, your Explore page is going to be a lot of pictures of girls. You start looking about pictures of like breakups or content about breakups. You're gonna see
at this point, you just talk about some shit. Your phone going to listen to you, man. Like,
so this is the thing where it gets interesting is like, I think more people should be aware of this fact because like, let's say you're in like a really negative mindset and you're clicking on stuff about like breakups, you're going to get more shit about breakups and it's going to lead you further down that path. Is that the path you really want to go to that's going to be most beneficial for your mentality?
I love that you say that because, you know, like the tattoo on my neck and like my neck tattoos are like always most frequently asked question, like, what do you have? Why do you have, you know, what's on your neck? And like this side specifically is a world and under it, it just says create yours. Yeah. And that's extremely important because you really can't control where you at physically sometimes. And right now you may be somewhere where it's like, fuck, if I could just move, if I could just get out, if I could just like be in a different position physically, like things would be different. But I learned that like that's not my world where I'm at physically. It's where I'm at mentally.
So now we're going to have
So look, it's the things that you watch every day. Look, it's the things that you listen to. It's the people you fucking talk to, the music that you like all that shit is so your important. World. And like, because I had to tell myself that because I'm in Fayetteville, North Carolina, cutting in my brother's garage. I have no AC in the garage, sweating like a dog, middle of summer. I'm first year out of high school. Every one of my friends are at their first pick D1 colleges, having the time of their lives. And I'm sitting there going through the mud and I'm reminding myself like, all right, I can't change right now that I'm in the garage. I don't got a license yet. I'm in school. I'm just grinding, but you know, my world is not what I see on these four walls. My world is like what the fuck I think every day.
Yeah.
And I remind myself of wherever I'm at to create that. And like I'm creating that here. You know, this isn't my house, but like I'm making sure that I bring the energy I want into a room and I make sure I bring like everything. You could create that wherever you at. And when I started working in prison reform and I would go and take these visits and you would meet a guy who's a lifer. He's going to die in prison. He knows it. And they find purpose within those walls, bro, knowing that I'm never coming out.
Yeah.
All right, if I'm never coming out, then my purpose is to make sure the guys that do come in and have a chance to come out don't end up like me. And they find purpose and they wake up happy every day. Still, when you would look at it and know, like, man, you're never going to get out. And it's like, it's okay. Like, I'm here to do something for other guys that come in. And like that creates your work, create yours mentality.
Yeah,
like,
and it's all perspective. It's all purpose driven. So that's the thing. Like I think we just in general, man, like in social media and in the world, because social media is becoming the world essentially. Like it's all these like collective thoughts in its place. I think we should and we need more people like you. We need more people that are trying to actually make this positive instead of negative. Because when we talk about the music you listen to, all this stuff, there's so much negativity involved in all that shit that like people are just constantly pushing through their minds, and it's like
that was my motivation, bro. Like I was like, bro, people don't get it, man. Like, and maybe they do get it, but because now I've been in the entertainment industry, like maybe people do get it how important it is, but they don't have the will enough to be like, all right, I'm gonna stand on that because money's too good, fame's too good, numbers too good. I can't say real shit. We talked about that a little bit earlier. Like I can't do it because they might not love me no more. And bro, when you understand, like,
well, this is the thing. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Didn't they even say, like, Future even talked about the fact that, like, he would rap about taking drugs, even though he didn't really take that many drugs, but he knew that's what people wanted to listen to.
Bro, that's scary. That's really
insane.
That really hurts. And it's you say Future because, like, I remember being in high school.
That's just an interview. He said that.
But like Molly Perkins said, like, that was that was my high school jam, and I'm like, what are we saying, bro?
Yeah.
And bro, I've lost kids that like I've cut in my garage. My little brother's best friend that like. I fucking, like, I've cut his hair and he slept over our house. I grew up with his sister. Like, bro, these guys are passing away from pills. And it's like, rest in peace, my little man TJ. But, like, dog, something's got to change, man. And that shit really brings a lot of pain. But, do you know how much fucking value, how much power you have right now to be with that mic and this camera? Like, if this shit gets 1 million views, if a video gets 1 million views and they hear me say some shit that could fucking hurt their life, like, dog, I gotta live with that. But if this video gets 1 million views and I could tell somebody how I became a better person, they could do at least one. It's like that feels a lot better to me than if I could get 20 million talking about some other shit.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't fucking matter.
I mean, that's
the power of influence is insane. All these influencers, everybody has a power to influence millions and like take that shit serious. That shit ain't a light job. It's not a light role that you playing. You playing with the way that people see themselves every day. Yeah. And that's why I really like I've became like I get it, man. I got so much followers on this platform, but like it's hard for me to really associate and find friends within this industry as well and be in this like community because I just got really strong opinions about like what I'm here to do, and I want people to feel that. And I don't want to be friends with you because you another TikToker. I don't want to be cool with you because you another barber. Like I want to be cool with you because you a good fucking person and I love you for that. I don't want to fuck with you because you got other followers. I don't give a fuck about that, man. Like I want people to accept me for me. So like my closest friends, the people that I have in my life have nothing to do with social media. They have nothing to do with being famous or like you wouldn't even like you couldn't tell me what my circle looked like because I will hang out and accept anybody as long as you bring good energy and you're just who you are. Like you don't have to be. I don't fucking hang out with other people who are famous and shit all the time, man. I'm chilling with my same 2 friends I grew up with since 6th grade, man. Like that's the type of person that I've always been.
You've always been that way.
I mean, growing up in Fayetteville, like, dude, look at my childhood idol, J. Cole. Yeah, like I've seen legend. Dennis Smith Jr., my brother. Like now we got Moray. Like we've had it's a small place, not a lot comes out, but you have success. Success will find in this city. It comes out. So I've had mentors and looking at these guys that have came from the same predicament as me, and I'm looking at how they handled this success, and I'm like, he's got 10 times more than me. Why the fuck would I act like I made it more than he acting right now? Like, why am I like treating people shitty when like this guy has the way more than me and he's treating people nice? Yeah. Like, who am I? Like, I gotta check and humble myself all the time because, dog.
Why do you think people get caught up in like being able to just like, let's say I have the popularity or even fuck the popularity. Just why do you think people get caught up in the negative, just in their life in general, and like they just keep going down that path, even though most of them, or you would know. I mean, from my experience too, even when I've gone down the negative roads, I knew that's not where I wanted to go, and I knew that like I needed to go a different direction, and I let myself keep like if we're talking about just in not necessarily general talk, specifically relationship stuff, right? For example, you're in a relationship where you're like, man, I probably shouldn't be in this, but I'm attached to this feeling or I'm attached to this emotion, so I'm staying in it, or I'm selfish because I don't want to let this go, so I'm going to stay in it, and like, it's not good.
And I don't even want to like take it like this deep, man, but I'll just say how I feel because, like, bro, the devil will give you everything you want the same way that God will give it to you. And sometimes you'll be given like the physical, you'll be given the car, you'll be given the money. It's like sometimes, bro, like, yeah, you pray to the devil for that, he'll give it to you. But like God will give you the same thing, but maybe just not right now. But you'll have the same outcome. But like you receive some things, and you think like, oh yeah, like I'm supposed to be doing this with this, and it's just really not how the path looks. And you gotta admit, like, bro, when you do get successful and you do get a lot of money, like you do like pop with whatever, like, yeah, sometimes you kind of do get caught up in that. And I've got caught up in that. When I came to Atlanta, bro, I thought I had to have a chain. I thought I had to look like everybody else. I thought I had to drink. I thought I had to smoke. I thought I had to have like the nice car. And I was like, yo, when I go to the club, nobody looks at me because I ain't got a chain on my neck. I bought a fucking Vicblends bust down chain.
Sound like Steiny?
Yeah, it's like I bought a Vicblends bust down chain. I'm like, this is the dumbest shit I ever fucking did in my life, man. And it's backwards as hell because, you know, J. Cole got a song, Chaining Day. And he's like, what'd he say? He said, fake it till you make it. Me, I did the opposite. Made it, then I faked it. Acted like I gave a fuck. Money I was saving up to buy critters. Gave it to that 100 racks. I gave it up. For what? Why? Like, he did it. You know, and so I'm looking at this, and then I hear this song my whole life growing up, and then I go through it, and I'm holding that chain while I'm listening to Chain Day, like, nah, this don't really feel right, bro. Why'd I buy this? Like, you know, I bought this not for me. I didn't do this for me. And, you know, sometimes that's how you get into kind of this bad space of like, you know, I'm doing this shit because I think it's pleasing people, man.
It's interesting how that's one of the most significant things I think I've learned in my life is like doing things just for other, like for not necessarily like that it's bad to do things for other people, but doing things because you're trying to just like make someone else feel different about you or make someone else be like impressed with you. Like, so then you start to coordinate the things that you do in relationship to like trying to get a response or trying to get like looked at a certain way. And that's what I'm saying. Just in social media in general, there's this whole side where it's like this whole like just I guess I can't say it's negative, but it's this glorifying just kind of like useless shit. It's just glorifying things that don't actually matter and don't actually.
But
have
I will
value.
say this too, bro, because I've had like, you know, really important combos about this, and you know, I've made like videos talking about like what I would do with my money and this, and like, you know, like to the people that do buy those chains and do buy those things, like you can't even you can't blame them either. And I can't say that like everybody that spent their money on jewelry made a bad decision. Like that's not the case because, you know, like bro, my life was, you know, what it is, but then some people's lives are like, you know, 10 times harder, bro. And when you get to like buy something like that, like I'm around like Lil Baby and all these guys in Atlanta all the time, and like, so I'm seeing this in front, like the watch is not, you think it's just a watch, but to them they don't look at it like it's just a watch. Like this is a trophy. This is like
something.
This is representation that I didn't give up. So like, if that's what motivates some guy, they feel good. Like, bro, you gotta let them do that. Like, I can't tell everybody what they should be doing with their money because I don't do it, or the way that I dress, or what you should be wearing. But like, I found that out because I'm like, you know, well, that's how I feel, but I don't want to hurt anybody by saying that. And Nelly was the one that actually like had this convo with me, and he was like, "Hey, champ," like as I'm cutting him one, he's like, "Hey, champ, like I saw your video and I liked it, but I want you to know how you make somebody else feel that did buy that watch. And if you want to talk about this, like think about it, because Nelly, I've been cutting Nelly for a couple of years and he's watched me grow from coming to Atlanta and first cut him to like now. And when I made those videos talking about those things, it's like, yeah, it came off aggressive because I thought it was real at first. But then it's like, you know, bro, you could have that opinion, express it, allow people to hear you, but not offend nobody. And like, if you want to keep moving and keep like having this great energy that you already carry, it's like, you know, think about the way that you're going to say some things, because somebody that really did come from the fucking dirt and finally got that bust down watch, like, it doesn't mean the same that it means to you.
Fact.
So don't like watch the way you word it. And I was like, you know, that changes the way I look at it too, you know, and it's okay for some people to do so, but it could get, I keep going on. But
no, you nailed it. I mean, there's no right way for any of this stuff to exist. Like you can't say this is exactly wrong, it's exactly right. No.
It's also inevitable though, bro. Like somebody will get offended by something, bro. You know, like it's inevitable, and you gotta accept that at the same time. But I'm just conscious, and I put my best effort to try to include everybody. But at the end of the day, I can't make everybody happy, and at a certain point, I gotta unapologetically just like be myself. Yeah. But I just do my due diligence, and I think as long as my heart is there, people can forgive. Of course. Because you may look at somebody's intent, like, or somebody's action, but that wasn't their intent. Yeah. You may have told me something and been like, man, that hurt. But like, if your heart was in the right place, I could forgive you. Yeah. If you meant otherwise when you said something to me, I could forgive you for that. But you may have not just put it out in the way that I really received it that way. Yeah, that's a fact. So you mentioned Nelly, you mentioned Lil Baby. Who are the other people, or like, is there anyone that stands out in particular that you really enjoy like working with or cutting? I don't really cut, you know, because this is also like, I don't cut anymore. Just no cutting. Nah, not really. Just unless it's for some content. I do cut Lil Baby stuff. I do cut Baby, you know, because I'm in Atlanta and we've had like this relationship for like 3 years now, and you know he's took care of me a lot in Atlanta, and I can't explain what he's done for me and stuff. But yeah, like I don't cut anymore. You know, it just stopped being the thing that I do, and that decision came not because I just have better things going on here. It's because you'll get called up for, you know, some shit, and it's like, because somebody can afford me, they can buy my time and they can buy my energy essentially.
Yeah.
Because you have enough money for a haircut, you could just book me. Imagine right now if someone could book just Vicblends for a cut. Like, I wouldn't be able to sit here and have this convo with you. And I feel like this convo is more important than it could be for to any dollar, amount of dollars somebody could pay me for a cut.
Right. So it's just opportunity cost.
Opportunity cost. Right. And then, like, why am I here and why do I want to do this? Like, I remember being in the studio, bro, late night, 2 a.m. I'm in there cutting all day and I'm fucking, making money. But I'm also like, my girl's at the house by herself. My fucking dogs, that I left them mid-dinner to come to the studio and cut. And a rapper walks in and he's like, hey, man, like, you got me next. And I'm like, dog, I've just been cutting all day. I got to go, bro. Like, it's so late. And he's like, I know you'll stay for $100. And I was like, damn. Is that how people, like, look at me? Like,
I'd have been like, bro, I'm out.
Is that how you looking? Is that like, but that was like the day I sat around, I'm like, nah, this can't be it. Like, there's no way like $100 could be enough to like get me out of my bed and like leave my girl and like walk and just go
at this point in your life, for sure.
Yeah, like fuck, I can't, man. I can't. And like, as much as I would love to keep cutting everybody, that's not what I'm here for anymore. And it was really just a vehicle. Barbering became a vehicle for me. Yeah. So like, I just don't cut celebrities for that fact. I don't charge money for haircuts. Like, bro, if you really ever wanted me to cut you and you just really wanted me to do it, I would just come do it. You don't have to pay me to come do it. I just want to do it because I think my value is not in a haircut anymore.
You do beards or what?
Bro, I got you. Yeah, like, dude, my value is not in a haircut. And I found that out. Like, before, that was all my value was. So when you would think about me, you would think haircut. And I hated that because I'm like, man, God gave me so many different talents, bro. I could do anything. I'm creative. I produce. I can make content. I can shoot. I got an eye for other things that I'm learning. But everybody only sees the haircut.
Yeah.
And then when I heard that quote that changed my life, don't let what you're good at define who you are. Who are you if you can't do what you're good at? That's what I had to understand. Like, who am I if I can never cut again? Because, like, yo, these are just tools, bro. These could break, right? I could lose these hands tomorrow. And if my whole life and the only thing I felt like I had to offer was a cut, then I sold myself short on finding out what God had me here for. So when I started speaking and seeing that, like, yo, maybe I might be better to come. And it was funny because it's like a hard thing to almost explain sometimes because, not to put us out, but like, I think somebody asked if I could do a cut while like I was here. And I was like, bro, I would love to cut, but like, if I come to your podcast and I just come in the vision of a barber and I cut right now, then I'm working backwards on myself because I told myself that like, I need to keep pushing myself in a direction where people see I have more to offer. Yeah. And I can't just like come to places to cut hair anymore. Like, that's not where I'm here to do.
Yeah, dude. I love how, like, it's just so interesting to me. At your age, you started to be able to define these things for yourself so specifically. Because that's the thing. Like, I've learned that I knew certain things when I was younger, but like me being able to like articulate those things the way that you're doing it is so impressive. Because like, I can do that now at 33, right? Be able to say exactly how I feel and why I feel that way in relationship to it. But I just think it's a beautiful thing, man. Like, and I think you're doing really good work. And I hope more kids listen to this kind of shit. I hope more kids follow you and like engage with your shit because you have real heart behind the things you're saying. Like, everything you're saying, you realize at a point, you're like, okay, this is where I'm at. This is where you were at. You realize where you wanted to go. You got there and then you realize, okay, I want to be more than that. Because you're so right in saying that you're more than just that thing that you do, right? To have like real effect, which it sounds like you want to have in people's lives.
But you probably went through the same thing, bro. Like, yo, what if like, can people just book you to come train them anymore? No, you got to grow and you got to reinvent yourself and you got to adapt. And
not even just train, but just like the idea of me, like, I'm fitness guy who lift all these chicks, jumped out of the pool, did all this cool shit. I'm not going to be that guy forever. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to be that guy. And also, I don't think I'd be happy if I just kept doing the same things forever. Like, any human being wouldn't be happy if they just did the same things forever and ever and ever. Cause I think like people who, I don't know, man, like some people really enjoy this lifestyle, that 9 to 5 forever. But some people, I feel like in people's hearts, like, I don't think we're meant to just do the same thing forever and then fucking die. So like, I'll tell you, for me, my perspective on this is like, I knew at some point that I was going to have to evolve out of being like the strong guy, the best physically look, all this shit that I was like trying to be as I was coming up. Cause I was like, I'm in the fitness industry. I got to look good. I got to be strong. I got to do all this shit. I got to capture this attention, capture these people's views, et cetera. All this shit as I started to grow and get closer to like growing on social and being like, now this is important. Then I get to a point where I'm like, what's really fucking important. And that's what I find interesting about you. At your age, you're already kind of there when you're realizing what's actually really important. And I guess my question to that is like, do you think it's because of influences that you've maybe just even just in general, like on social media, like there's been, because there's so many more representations of like what also people are capable of. Like, for example, back when I started this fitness shit, the only thing prior, like there was no social media. So there was no one I was looking at like, oh, they're doing social media and they're making money. They have this like ability. It was just like motherfuckers were in magazines, like taking crazy shots, and they're like a bunch of just dudes just on steroids and promoting like fucking muscle tech for like 500% increase in strength, which is bullshit claims. And it's like, that's what was existing when I was growing up. Now it's like you see everything. You see all these possibilities. So like when you were on your way up, I'm wondering if you had more like outward vision where you're like, whoa, this could be cool. And not that you're like, oh, I'm going to copy that or do that. But did you have anyone specifically or any creators or anyone that you were like, look towards, you're like, man, I like what that person's doing? Or was it just like, you were just like, just from your life and you were a barber and you were like, okay, I want to do these things? And
yeah, I mean, like, bro, I think I would be honestly just lying if I told you like, nah, I just thought of everything. Bro, I'm inspired by people I watch. I invest in, I indulge into the content and the platform and the community that I'm in. And like, bro, I take inspiration from absolutely everybody.
yeah.
And the first one to inspire me to do like public shit was the guy Alex Stemp, the photographer, who was like, can I give you a photo shoot? Because I'm like, oh damn, like this dude was giving free photo shoots out. I was like, shit, that's a cool concept.
I know who that
yeah,
is.
you know, yeah, bro, 20 plus, like great guy, bro. And I got to meet up with him and collab, and I got to express to him like, hey man, like you led into me finding what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
And so like I saw that. But then, like, I felt a lot of guilt in myself, I guess, on, like, why I was going to do it the way that I did. Because I could have done it differently. I could have done just, like, let me give you a free cut and let me just make you look good. And the whole video can be based around, like, just giving somebody, like, this fire-ass haircut. But I was like, nah, because I feel like I'm discovering purpose. And it's, like, so different from passion. Passion is the thing that you wake up and you actually do. It's the craft. It's the barbering. It's the lift. That's passion. I feel passionate about doing this activity. And then like the purpose is why you're doing it. And I found like that my purpose may be just to be able to help people see themselves in a different light. And I started doing that during the pandemic because that's my turning point. And how I found my path now was like I got into the pandemic and I couldn't cut hair no more.
That should change a lot of people's lives.
I couldn't cut hair anymore. I couldn't cut hair anymore. You couldn't see another person. You couldn't have physical touch. There ain't nobody know what that COVID shit was gonna do to you. Like, and to a lot of people, bro, it was detrimental. It was like a lot of people lost their lives. It was a tough time for a lot. So, bro, I was like, what if I never get back to cutting? You know, so I started speaking during that time and really pushing it forward on it. You know, and I tried to do it before. It didn't work. I told you I was copying people. Just videos weren't hitting. Shit was corny. Like, all right, so I'm coming back again. Now let me talk through experience. I'm speaking about my life in the pandemic. I'm talking about how I feel. I'm sharing it, and people are like, man, thank you for this. Like, I need this. But like, bro, I needed it. Like, I needed it for myself. And that's why I felt that I would like express this in the video, because it helped me feel better about myself. And when I started doing that, I could see it's working. Like, I could see people are accepting me, man, and they're embracing me. And I'm like, yo, this feels good. But I also feel really guilty because I'm not using the gift that I felt like God gave me as a barber. And I was like, how do I do both of these things? Do both of these things even exist together? Because sometimes they don't. Sometimes the mesh doesn't exist together. Sometimes like the lifting may like totally be not correlated to something you feel like you want to do later. So like right now they kind of merge, but like, man, one day they might not merge. But like, how do I merge them right now? And how do I use that gift? And how do I fulfill this purpose?
Yeah.
Because it just comes down to the conversation. So that's why I chose, like, I'll cut a stranger and I'll create my own stage for me to talk, and I'll show the conversation. Because the most important thing that a barber could do is not cut your hair, but they just allow you to have an experience and express yourself and feel the way in the chair. Like, that's the gift, bro. That's the real gift. Fuck the haircut. Like, it's the gift.
That, it reminds me of being a trainer, because I was a trainer my whole life. It's the same concept when you're like, the most important thing a trainer could do for a person is like hold them accountable. And like the way you hold most people accountable is through creating an actual connection with that person, in which the person feels like, I want to come back to experience this. I want to come back to meet with you, to talk to you, to like, because at the same time, like, it's harder to stick around for something that's a physical goal, a physical change, that like you know is going to be difficult. But if you have someone who's feeling like they're there with you along the way, like you develop a real relationship with that person, you want to show up not just for yourself, but also for that person. I also want to say, like, it now reminds me, like, my first experiences in communication and like learning about people and understanding people outside of myself was when I was doing training, when I was a trainer, because I would have so much conversation about people, their lives, where they're at, why they wanted to change, like what held them back.
Yeah, I love that because it's a universal language, just like barbering.
Yeah.
You know, like training, like physical, like that's a universal language. You don't even got to speak the same language as the people that you're training or like even know the same backgrounds, but it's like we both share this common of like, well, I love fitness. And it's like, oh, I love to get my hair cut. So like, yeah, bro, people would sit in my chair and not even speak English. And it's like, we're going to vibe out. We're going to share this together because like, we got this universal language of like things that we love across the world.
Yeah,
like, that's so awesome.
And the reason why people wanted to do it is you realize like when I was a trainer and I realized when I was like, okay, now I'm learning how to sell training. I realized the most important thing, if we're talking about selling training, getting someone to be a part of what you're doing so that they take you on as a trainer, is to understand why that person really wanted to make a change in their life. And that's a very deep thing because it's not like, oh, I just want to lose 10 pounds so I fucking look better. Like there's a deeper reason always when it comes down to these things. Like someone's like, yo, I want to lose 10 pounds because like I want to feel good about myself, you know, in relationship to my boyfriend or my girlfriend or whatever it is, like because I don't feel good about myself. It's always a much deeper thing. And I've always learned that about it.
And it's making me like nervous thinking about it because I'm thinking about where I was at, you know, when that epiphany happened to me. And like, yeah, it's like really deep when you come to that realization because I mean, like I unfortunately almost had to lose my life and I don't think I'm ready as a person yet to share details, but in Atlanta, I almost lose my life in a very unfortunate situation. And it gave me this sense of, it's the first time I ever admitted this ever, but it gave me such a sense of urgency for life that, you know, you realize like this shit ain't guaranteed, bro. It could be gone any moment. And, you know, I never had like any real big deaths in my family yet, you know, I thank God, but like I haven't gone through like, yo, you know, somebody immediate to me is like not here anymore. Friends, you know, around the city, things like common, bro, common. You gotta just like get over that real fast. But then like, so I had to really understand like how precious this time is, man. And when I went through this situation in Atlanta, yeah, bro, I kind of looked at myself and I was just like, you know, I'm not really doing enough because if that day was the last day, I didn't do enough for my people. And that was honest, me being honest and saying that like the cutting the celeb shit, the fucking trying to chase being the best at being like that's not enough. And what I'm doing right now is I'm not gonna have any legacy. There will be somebody way better than me at cutting. They'll be younger than me. They'll be sharper than me. They'll be faster than me. They'll be more willing to like, get up more than me. Like that'll happen. But like if my time is now, and if God gave me this moment to be heard and to be seen, what I do with it right now is extremely delicate and will decide if like I'm remembered or not on this earth. And like, bro, I've always dreamed of like being a statue one day. Like, it sounds so stupid to say, but like, I want to be a statue, bro. I want to be able to say that I helped my community in a way that was significant. And, you know, that time in Atlanta for me was, you know, just insane because, you know, I had to fucking get over that. I had to tell myself like, all right, whatever you're doing right now, like, you know, you got. I don't even know what I'm saying.
Was it something that something was gonna happen to you?
Nah, it happened to me, and I just like I'm alive. You know, I'm here, but you know, you know, off camera we'll talk.
Okay.
But yeah, like I'm here, bro. I'm here, and I'm healthy.
So like, I mean, what you said, man, like, I think it's interesting. The idea just of purpose in general and like wanting to leave more. I know that's the reason why I struggle with my idea, just my relationship to death in general is like. In relationship to a lot of other aspects of my life, like relationships, friendships, business shit, like sometimes you feel like you're not enough, right? The idea, I was talking to the guys about it. We did a pod the other week. I had just done ayahuasca. I don't know if you know what ayahuasca is, but it's probably one of the most intense psychedelics you could take.
Oh shit!
Have you ever taken mushrooms or anything like that?
Nah, nothing like that.
Okay.
I've you know obviously smoked weed before in my life, but like I live a dry lifestyle for the most of my life. You know, I don't smoke, drink. I didn't do it, and I didn't really get into that only because like you know you see people that you grew up with spend their last dollar on it, and it made me just be like, fuck, man. my friends could be so much further if they just didn't have this vice to them.
Yeah.
And I remember like paying my car off in high school. I bought my first car in high school flipping shoes, and I paid it off before I graduated. First $10,000 I ever saved up to the T. Like first 10K, I spent it. I had 10K, left on my car after my down payment. And I was like, my parents like, yo, pay it all off. Trust me. I was like, all right. So my account went back to zero, but I had a full car. And I remember sending that shit to my group chat at the time with like the friends I had in high school. And I was like, hey boys, like I just paid my car off. It's paid in full, and we're in high school. And they said, and they were like, yeah, bro, shut the fuck up. Like sending this to the group chat because you think you're better than us. And I was like, man, what? And I told him, I said, yo, I did this because I don't smoke and I don't drink. Y'all smoke and drink every fucking weekend. Every time we get paid, y'all go to the same person's house and y'all smoking it up, chiefing it up, buying the weed, buying the liquor. And then guess what, bro? That's a temporary feeling, right? And then the next day, what you got to show for your money? I said, I got something to show for my money, man. And it's not like, because it's something deeper. It's not just that, right? Because there's people that smoke and drink and they live great lives. And it's like, I have no bad opinion about anybody who uses, as long as like, you're obviously just taking care of your body, not fucking trying to, do crazy shit, whatever. So I don't want to get into that. But like, I just saw people lose everything for that shit. And it made me really like not want to ever do it.
Yeah.
Ever. And I've seen like people lose their life for it, that like I talked about earlier. And like, it made me just be like, that's just not what I wanted in my life. And, at first I had like a strong opinion, like if you do it, you're this and that. But like, nah, bro, like I met great people that smoke weed.
Yeah.
I met great people that do psychedelics. And it's like, I just don't think that I'm at a place in my life where like I'm ready for that lifestyle. And, I don't know if I ever will be, but like I have no bad feelings about that shit.
Thankfully,
I'm not,
psychedelics are definitely not like, I wouldn't put them in the same category.
But I'm scared of that shit. I'm just too scared of that shit, dog. Like honestly,
Bro,
I'm just like, what if I don't know, all
that's
types
what I
of
thought.
shit. Yeah.
That's what but honestly, like, I'm not going to sit here and recommend it to you, but like, dude, I think it would set you on a different fucking level, bro. But anyways,
man.
So long story short, I did it I did this ayahuasca journey. The reason why I'm talking about this is like, I had this general relationship to fear of death and dying and not doing enough, right? But in this whole experience, right? Because the idea we're talking about legacy and wanting this to be more than just like I'm cutting hair or doing a thing, like wanting to leave something behind so that there's something to be remembered of you that also is not just remembered but also benefiting other people, right? So I took this medicine and I'm on this journey, and then I'm realizing like, my focus and fixation and fear and anxiety around the idea of death doesn't allow me to truly live, right? Just the idea of being afraid of death and focusing on that, like that aspect, and not, because you got to think, if I'm focused on death, then I'm not focused on all the other good things. And then we talk about this on a greater scale, the same thing in all of our lives. Like if we're focused on that person having something we don't have, then we're not focused on the thing we actually want to have. We're focused on the idea that someone else has.
You're not present.
So yeah, that's what this shit does. So I'm not saying go take this shit, but like it makes you have to be immediately present with the things that you need to deal with or go through. Right? That's what that specific medicine is doing. Alcohol, weed, all that stuff's a little bit different, right? The way psychedelics act is definitely different in the mind and in the body than those things. But the point is, I was just trying to make is that I just think it's so important. I just wish more people not did medicine or did drugs or anything. I just wish more people were willing to be more present with themselves in relationship to the things that they know they really want, not all the extra shit that other people have that they don't have. And just in general, man, I think that's the thing that I like most about your stuff. And when I watched your stuff, I was like, I like that this guy is talking to people in a way that's genuine, raw, that's real, and that's encouraging people to essentially be more present, to be more like in tune with themselves. And that's the most beautiful thing in all this. And that's why I wanted you to come on the podcast, was like, I just wish there was more people doing that shit, man. And I highly value the work that you do. And I think it's fucking incredible. And I just wanted to tell you that genuinely. I think really more people should tell you that. I think you should keep doing it. And I think you'll have tons of success in the way in which you carry yourself, the way in which you conversate. And I think the world needs more of that shit, man. And that's why I wanted to do it.
Present was first. Thank you, man. Like, thank you, bro. I like, it means a lot.
Yeah.
It really does mean a lot. But like, present was my last tattoo that I got on my leg. I got the word that says present, because I had to when you're like a fucking like hyper focused, like trying to be a successful type of person, you lose sight of what's present. Because like I wake up every day and it's like sometimes it's just hard for me to like pay attention to like anything. Like it's hard for me to pay attention to like what I'm doing or like who I'm talking to, because I have like a million things on my mind that I'm trying to process at the same time and think about and handle, and like I'm not here. And I fucking heard a lot of people doing that, dog. I heard a lot of people in my life that I wish I could go back and be present for in the time that I had with them.
Does he not sound like me? This is so funny.
Nah, but that's just real. That's just real, bro. Because listen, bro, like you like, all right, whatever's on your mind, the next deal, the next whoever, guest, like that could be on your mind, and you could be processing that shit. It's like, my girl is in the crib with me, bro, and loves me to death and will do anything for me. And like, I can't even like, I don't even look at her when she's speaking to me because I'm in my phone. It's like, that shit is, unhealthy to me, man. And like, my mom would call me and I would like act like I ain't had no time to talk to my mom sometimes. My mom calls me every day, by the way. Absolutely every day. Every single day. And I answer every time she calls. But I found myself before, and it sucks because I don't want to talk like I'm hurting my mom, but I found myself before that I would answer my mom's calls knowing that this is just my mom's daily call. And it would be like, hey, how are you doing, son? Are you okay? First thing she asked, okay. I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. Of course, like, I'm okay. And like, I'm telling her, if I wasn't okay, Ma, you would know. Like, I would let you know if I wasn't okay. Yeah. I promise. And she's like, all right, well, I'm just checking on you. I was like, how's work? She says, work is work. I'm like, all right, well, like, I love you. Love you too. And like, that's it. But yeah, why do I act like I ain't got 10 minutes? That's all she want, 10 minutes. Yeah. That's all my mom wants is 10 minutes to talk to her son. Why do I act like I can't give her 10 minutes? Like, why do I act like it hurts me or it's like hard for me to do that? It's not hard. It's like I can sit there and give my mom 30. I can give her an hour, and it's not going to change anything I'm fucking doing that I feel like is important in this moment. It's like, why am I not just like there present with the people that I say I love? Like I say, everybody in this room right now can say I love my mom. But like, do our actions follow with the words that we say? And I made sure that I stood on everything that I say, that I'm telling you. If I tell you I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. And I think like when I make a commitment to say like, yo, you're my brother, or I use words like family, or I tell somebody I love them, like I have to follow through with that. And like giving my people like more time was like really important to me. And like turning my phone off, just like giving her that time is important. So like that was, I've learned that in the last like couple years, and being present is extremely important because nothing exists other than now. Yeah, it's a fact. Future don't exist. The past don't exist. Nothing matters other than right now. I can't fucking control anything else that previously happened or what would happen. I can control right now. And like I want to live in this moment, and that's why I was really excited to come talk to you, man.
Yeah, you crushed it, bro.
Man, thank you.
Proud of you. It's amazing, man. Like genuinely speaking, I love it. Maybe you don't need ayahuasca. Maybe you already got it, bro. No, for real shit. Like you're very eloquent, man. It's profound, and I'm just glad there's more people like you doing this.
Thank you, bro. I mean, genuinely. Likewise, bro. I'm proud of you as well. Like honestly,
trying. I'm having fun.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, this is fun, bro. Thank you for having me here. Of
course. Let's at the end of every episode we do audience questions. I don't think we've doing this lately because we just did the pod with them. They didn't do it because Natalie wasn't here. All right, yeah. So before we get into it, just some last words. I just want to say I think it's cool to it's just cool to meet influencers or creators, people who like do this or are in this space who like I seen you on the internet and then I meet you in person and then I hear you speak, I hear you talk, and you're the same person. And that isn't always the case. Like I've talked to so many people, I've met so many people, and like it is actually more rare than you think that you meet people and you're like, oh, that's like in line.
Is it? I guess. I mean, is it bad that I say you were better in person?
Oh, I don't know.
Not that you got a bad present, but I just didn't know what to expect. I'm like, this dude's fucking swole as hell. He's with all these girls and guys that are like doing crazy ass shit. And the Nelk, I'm like, shout out to the Nelk guys, my boys, man. But like I didn't know. Like I said, I wanted a genuine interact. I wanted to be here and just like get my own experience. Yeah. And I do that with everybody, man. I just want my own experience with people, and I could go read probably a bunch of fucking Bradley fucking hate on whatever, and same with myself, but of course I just wanted to come here and just like feel it for myself and just say like, from my experience, like, this is what it is, and like, you really like made me feel comfortable coming into your home, bro, and your whole team, and like, thank you for this experience. Of
course, yeah. Well, I think for me, it's like I'm trying to be better at just in general, like you see my content overall, and like not unless you watch this podcast, you probably wouldn't know like maybe this exact side of me. Because for so many years I was just like I was the guy who like. Did
but
the
also
crazy
like
lifts and-
like bro, I'm not a fucking bot. Like I'm not like people. God, yo, I see so many like he just speaks in quotes. I was like, I get bro. I speak well, but like bro, I'm just like everybody. You just think I don't talk shit with the homies and like talk about shit that doesn't even matter and dumb shit and art. Like I do all that, man. Like I guess on my platform I choose to, but like I could be fun. I guess I think I could be funny too, but like I do all that shit too. So like I just don't want people to think like I'm like just fucking.
No,
oh
I get
God,
you. Yeah. So is it comments people call you a bot?
Nah, not like a bot. That's what I call myself. Cause that's what it feels like. Like when I see a comment like this guy only speaks in quotes. Like damn, he always trying to say some deep ass shit. Like it's just like shit. Maybe sometimes I do. Like sometimes I just like try to get too deep sometimes. But like just how I take shit. But yeah. Now sometimes I just feel that. Maybe people think like I ain't no like NPC. I don't want to think I'm like no NPC or some shit, man. Like
I don't think you're an NPC.
Like nah, but bro, I'm so regular, just like everybody else. But I could, when you see on social media, and you just see like this one, like all motivation.
Yeah.
Like I get it, but like
there's always more than what's put out there for sure.
Yeah, dog, I'm just like everybody else, man.
Yeah.
Chilling.
So let's get into this. We got what? You got 3 questions ready?
Yes, I do.
Okay, go for it.
All right, so the first question is, so I got out of an 8-year relationship 4 years ago. My ex ghosted me out of nowhere and broke up with
4
me.
years, after 4 years.
4 years ago.
4 years ago out of an 8-year relationship.
Yes.
So out of 8 years, she ghosted you out of nowhere?
Yeah, and broke up with me. The relationship was toxic and I lost a lot of friends from it due to her trust issues and her messaging them from my account pretending to be me. Now I have a hard time giving women my time as I wasted 8 years of my life, 18 to 26. Now I've been career focused for the past 4 years and have no idea where to start with women as I don't want to waste my time, but I'm tired of being single. What do you suggest?
Okay, first and foremost, you didn't waste your time.
Yeah,
with 8
I was about to
years.
say the same shit, man. I said like, I wish I could talk to this person. Like you said, waste for 8 years. Like it's unfortunate you did 8 years into that shit, but like saying it's a waste is crazy. Like if you learned, you didn't lose.
Yeah.
You spent 8 years. It's unfortunate. Sometimes like I say time is the currency that we pay for lessons. Like time is sometimes what it takes. You can't pay for a lesson other than giving it time. And if it took 8 years for you to get that lesson of like what you need now in your life, it'll make you appreciate your next relationship like tenfold.
So it's exactly based on what you just said too as well. I would say the same thing. And if we're talking about like learning that lesson, if we're talking about now going into a new relationship with some different girl, right, and you find yourself having a harder time like being able to open yourself up, I would spend some time, think about those 8 years, think about what you really learned about yourself, about your ability to be, in a relationship in general, what you really want, what you don't want. And then next time you move into like a potential situation, let's say to have a relationship with another woman, you'd have this like better qualifying, like what is right for you, how you could show up in someone's life properly.
You also got to learn yourself. You got to learn.
Exactly.
What do I even like? What do I deserve? What makes me feel loved? What makes me feel this? Like you got to go through like the trial and error of figuring that shit out. And then when you get this like great, clarity on yourself, bro, it's easy. Just like, bro, just attract it. Just attract it. Stop looking for it.
Yeah. But I also think it's important for this person to take time. If he hasn't taken time, it sounds like he hasn't, to go through those 8 years and really think about what he actually learned from it. Because there's a difference between going through something and being like, oh, this fucked me up and like, I wasted time. You got to be a
conscious learner at the same
time.
Right.
Because where he's at right now sounds like I wasted my time, because that's how he wrote the letter, right? He wrote the email. But at the same time, like, have you taken the time to like look at all the moments in your life during those 8 years and the things, like, what did you learn from it? So that now you can go move forward and you didn't waste any of that time. It actually made you better suited for the next time that it's supposed to work out or it may work out. So I think it's just a matter of like learning that first, then putting yourself in the right situations, obviously like trying to find or move closer towards the things that, let's say you think you'd actually want or enjoy out of a woman. Like put yourself in a situation where you think you could find them, maybe if in some sort of like hobby or things that they're interested, that you're interested in, but don't just like shut it down and be like, I'm afraid to do this. I think it's important to just learn yourself, and then you got to kind of let the rest of that aspect of that it didn't work out go and just move forward.
For sure. And I like finding it too is like a big thing. Like you said, find it in places that you like to go, things you're interested in.
Yeah.
A lot of people go to the club and they look for love. But you ain't finding nothing. You ain't finding shit in the club that's about to be real for you, bro. Like everybody's there for the same thing. Like you're not gonna find real love. Like, man, people do. I ain't gonna say that. People do find real love in the club. But
I don't know if they do, to be honest.
Some people have met. Like, I talked to my homegirl Susan on my team and my financial team yesterday. She met her husband in college, like at a club. But like, it occasionally, yeah. But I mean, just being like from practice, like, you know, man, what do you want? Like, what type of person are you trying to like find? Like, you know, who are you looking for? And you just got to be places that you feel like are similar to how you want to, what kind of person you are in.
Yeah.
You know, so, but if you try to force somebody like to be in that position, sometimes you just force the wrong piece. There's like a puzzle, bro. You got to sit back and just like take your time analyzing each piece. Does this one fit? Does this one fit? And bro, eventually at this whole puzzle piece, you'll find the next piece of going your puzzle and you'll slap it in. It'll fit perfect. And you'll be like, yes, like that's what I needed.
Yeah. You
can't just like keep smashing shit in a position. You got to take your time.
Don't force it. That's for sure. But take the time to learn from those 8 years. That's definitely right.
For sure.
So do the next one.
As a kid, I lost my mother the day before my birthday, and I saw how awful my father treated my mother. Growing up, I decided I wanted to treat women better than I have ever seen before. I tried talking to beautiful women and play the whole nice guy, and they take advantage and try to break hearts. I find myself lately becoming more of the bad guy who just gets a bunch of hoes and never cares about anyone but himself. But it's not who I am, and it's empty. I'm 23 years old and want advice from RAWTALK, as weird as that might sound. I want advice on whether or not I should just keep getting mad amount of hoes and remain feeling empty, or be a typical light skin who's constantly treating women with respect.
All right, so now we put a little picture to it. Point a picture
who
to
get his heart broken, and then he put a little dog emoji.
I like this dude.
Yo, he's funny.
It's funny, but I mean,
bro, 23, man. Like, listen, I guess I just want to say this. At 23 years old, yes, I'm not saying it's not important, your love life and like finding the right ones and making things, but like also try not to take it all that serious. Like just in general in life, try not to take everything so serious. I'm not saying that it's not serious. I'm not saying it doesn't matter to your heart. I'm not saying that like, you know, you shouldn't want a relationship or you should be comfortable just being a fucking dog, like this joke that we're making. But like, maybe try to take a step back and be like, okay, what do you genuinely want? Like, do you want to fuck off?
Are you even ready for that? Like,
right.
You know, 'cause like, but that's a big switch, like being from like, you know, dog to committed. Like,
yeah,
you ready? Are you ready for that yourself?
You gotta know what's in your heart.
Yeah,
that's it. I think it's just like, I can't give you that like, hey, this is what you should or shouldn't do. But I will say like, take some time and really think about it. Like what's really making you happy when you have.
How does it make you feel? Like, bro,
exactly.
when you dog in a shorty, like, how does that make you feel? You feel like you're getting revenge? Like, that's not revenge, bro. Like, what do you feel like you're doing when you do that? And if it makes you feel bad, you know, you can make a change to that.
Yeah, and we're not saying like obviously when you're having sex you probably feel good, right? We know that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying
post nut clarity.
Yeah, I'm saying after.
What's that post nut clarity like? Like what you think right after?
Are you like still good? Are you like, okay, nah, I felt good about what I just did, and then I'm dogging her and I'm ghosting her. I'm on to the next one. Like, do you actually feel good? I don't know. You gotta ask yourself.
I will
those
say
questions.
this too though. This is an important lesson for my boy here, man. Like, don't become the thing you hate.
Yeah.
Don't become the thing you hate. Someone dogs you, you dog the next person. You just became the thing that you hate. And if you keep doing that, you just like, you just can't, man. You can't become the thing you hate. So if someone hurts you, you go hurt somebody else. It's not the solution.
Yeah, they say, so like this is the quote here. An eye for an eye make the whole world blind. There's a quote there.
Ooh,
That's a real thing.
I'm stealing that shit. You'll see that in the fucking Vicblends video next week. Oh yeah, man.
I'm
you know, an eye for an eye or blind will blind the world. Quote me.
Yeah, straight up. Yeah, but yeah, bro. I'm voting for like. Pause the dogging a little bit, maybe think about it, and if you feel like, yo, I want to be a dog, then fucking woof woof, motherfucker.
Or just do this, just fucking set clear expectations with the girls that you're having these interactions with. Like, nothing wrong with casual dating and wanting to go have a lot of sex, like, but just set the expectation for the girls you have this interaction with to say like, hey, I mean, I'm just gonna let you know, like, this is all I can offer emotionally. This is where I'm at with my life, and I'm just casually, you know, I'm just dating right now, and if like that's not for you, cool, you know, but I will be lying if I said like, yo, I mean, if you lie to it, you know, lying to a shorty and just saying this, like, I think you got to take every part of your life with like delicacy because, or like to be delicate with it because, you know, it's all a big picture. I can't expect to keep getting blessed in this area of my life if I'm treating people like shit in this area of my life. Like, this thing works in the circle. If I'm dogging my shorty at home off camera and nobody knows, I'm just cheating on her left and right, like, what makes me think like God finna give me all the other shit that I want in my life? Like, I gotta take care of every aspect. So, I mean, how does it make you feel? Like we said, like, how does it make you feel? Don't become the thing you had. All these things, like, you know, take that step back, bro, and you know, just set clear expectations.
Yeah.
You could have a lot of sex and be a dog, but just let them know, hey, I'm a dog. Like, this is it. Like, you know, and that's cool. But
yeah, it's about being accountable, straight up.
yeah.
That's it. Give us the next one. That was great.
Okay, so this person says, "Hey, Brad and guests, I don't know how to keep this short, so you guys, they said I could summarize it, but basically he said, my father is heavily on drugs and alcohol, and he tries to sober up and talks to his children and promises us he's going to change, and he's done a lot of bad things. I can't say fully, but it's to the point where I think it would be easier if he was dead rather than keep hurting myself, my little sister, and other siblings. Do you think we should keep letting him manipulate us and keep him around because he's our father, or cut him out completely? He's done some really messed up stuff that hurts a lot. Sorry if I'm typing this out horribly. It's just really hard to put into words. And thank you so much. You've literally helped me out through a lot on your podcast."
Okay, so straight up, I'll say this. I had a conversation with someone like a couple weeks ago about the similar thing in relationship to a similar thing, exactly, his father. And he was asking me much like this, like, just because someone is like a brother or a sister or a father or what a mother, it doesn't matter, right? You do sometimes have to distance yourself from people because you can't make a person the way you want them to be. And this goes for everything, relationships, friendships, everything. Like, you do have to be willing to love someone, but at the same time, if you're trying to change someone and your unwillingness to truly love yourself is showing in that you're like saying, okay, I'm going to try to like make this person to be the way that I want them to be, or like to treat me the way I want them to treat me. You just can't do that. Like, you need to love yourself enough to be able to take a step back to say, okay, this is not good for me. This is toxic for me. This doesn't make me feel good. 10 times out of 10, I feel bad in a situation. If you could say that, you got to take a step back no matter who it is, because you cannot control another human being. It doesn't matter if they're blood. It doesn't matter if they're a best friend, whatever. Like, you have to be able to say, okay, not take a step back and say, fuck you, you're a piece of shit, all this. Take a step back and say, yo, I just need to take some time for myself because this isn't healthy for me, right? Yeah. And that's hard sometimes, especially in situations like this when it comes to like a father or like a brother or something especially blood related. But it is in your best interest to sometimes separate yourself from those situations so you can gain better perspective. And at the same time, giving that other person, that other side, a different perspective, which, because maybe they're used to the toxic nature of the back and forth. Maybe that's a part of this whole thing. And until you separate yourself from it, you cannot allow them to have a different perspective of the situation or of you and their relationship to you, and vice versa. So taking a step back is actually really important sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very touchy subject because, you know, for anybody, bro, somebody that close to you to hurt you is like, it hurts a lot. It cuts really deep when it comes to somebody like that. But, you know, it's kind of what I said earlier. Don't become the things you hate because people are hurting you. And like, even if you love this person and it's hurting you to love them, you can still love them, but you might have to love them from a distance.
Yeah.
And you might have to love them differently. Because I've had, you know, not my father, you know, not a father situation. So, you know, I almost don't even know if I was equipped to speak on this, but like, I've had close people in my life, friends that are like extremely hurt me, man. It's like, I forgive you and I'm always going to love you. I just got to love you from this distance. You can't be as close and have as much access as you had before because you're altering my thoughts every day when you're this close to me. And like, man, I have to separate this distance because I need that clarity for my life. Yeah. But I just need to be able to say, like, you know, it can't affect me that way. And if like you distance yourself, still love your pops, man. Like, you know, it's hard to say when they've hurt you so bad, but like the word hate is strong. And I don't know, because I feel like, you know, if your dad is alive and your dad is there still, or your family, your mom is there still, and like you guys have had a fucked up situation before, if both people are still there and both people want the same thing to love each other, then y'all can do it. Y'all can do it. Y'all can work through it. It may take a while. It may take therapy. It may take help. But like, there's a chance if y'all are both here on this earth to get to the place that y'all both really love each other. And like, maybe like as parents, sometimes it's like weird being, you know, obviously I got siblings and a dad, you know, family, but like, you know, you got to really learn your parents. You never really learn your parents sometimes as a child because you're just their child. Like, I realized it because I don't even know my parents' favorite color. I don't know like my dad's favorite meal growing up. I don't know what my mom went through, and I really don't know my parents as people. I only know them from the title of like being my parent. So like, I'm trying to judge them based off of like the role that they've played as my parent. and not the role that they had to play when they were growing up that really formulated them to be this person.
Yeah.
So I had to like just understand, where did my parents come from? So like when my dad would tell, like I remember my dad specifically telling me like, you will not make enough money to live as a barber. You won't have a family. You won't, like, hurtful things to me. And I'm like, damn, man, you really hurting the shit out of me right now. And I'm hearing him talk to my mom, like, the other room, like, yelling at her, like, man, you need to go talk to your son. He thinks he's going to fucking make it. Like, this barber shit is like, nah, it ain't that, like, they don't want to see me chase and fulfill my dream. They want to make sure as parents that they don't leave me with, like, nothing in my hands that would, like, give me some sort of success. They want to know that they, like, set me up to, like, have something. Right. And it comes off as this, like, really hard, unconditional love. And you kind of take it as, like, man, fuck my parents. Fuck everybody that doesn't believe me and want to see me do my thing. But, like, I just had to understand, like, they're a parent. It's unconditional love. It hurts. I got to just prove it to them. And I got to take a step back, and we'll have this conversation later. Like, I got a mentor that, and then you do that, always tells me, like, yo, one day you're going to look at your dad. And you're not going to look at him like your dad. You're going to look at your dad, and he's going to be your friend one day. And you'll be like, wow, like I'm talking to him about things that I never talked to him about. And the conversation, and it is different. So you got to grow that. And sometimes I think if it sticks at the perspective of I'm a child and you're my dad, you know, even when you get older, then like sometimes that growth and acceptance for like who they are as people, because they need help too. Your parents ain't perfect, man. Nobody's perfect. So accepting their flaws too, and just taking your time, like those are important things that I had to do. I mean, obviously it's not close to this extent of like the pain this person probably went through. I'm not trying to compare pain, but like I had to take a step back and say, like, I could have easily been like, oh, fuck my dad, and had this grudge against him for this one thing he said to me. But like, man, I just continued to have the convo over and over and over again until we started like formulating different opinions and saying different things. And it's like, all right, I get you, son. Like, your mind's not gonna change. I'm gonna accept you for it. If you're happy, do it. That's what all it came down to. My dad just wanted to see me make a decision and stick to it. So like that's, I mean, just how I feel. I don't know if that's like a direct kind of ramble, son, but
nah, it's dope. I mean, it's accurate. Like if I'm talking about, like if I think about my life and I'm talking about my father, I had a relationship to him and what he did and how he left me as a child, and then as I got older, closer in my 30s, and I'm like, oh, not that it makes sense what he did and why he did it, but my understanding of like his whole, like you were talking earlier, his whole life was completely unique to mine, and I can't base what I've gone through to say that that person should have acted or treated or done this a certain way or shouldn't have done the thing that he did because of what I know. And I got old enough to start to realize and get enough perspective where I'm looking back and being like, oh, fuck, like I'm not validating what he did was right, but obviously he got to his point in his life for a completely unique set of reasons. And it's easier to like, you know, like you said, if you were just like, yo, fuck you said this thing about me, like whatever, than it is to like try to understand where it's coming from.
Hurt people hurt other people.
Right.
You have a dog. That dog loves you unconditionally, pet, cuddle, kisses, the whole nine, and let your dog go out and get hit by a car and then go try to pet it while it's in the street hurt. What is that dog? That dog's gonna bite you if you try to touch it while it's hurt, because it's defending itself from the world and anybody that comes in that's they think they're coming to, force more pain onto them. They think like that dog thinks that you're coming after I just got hit by a car, you're coming to end me. We're gonna bite you. So you see this happen in people where like somebody really hurt you, man. And like, because people have like these harsh responses to some things that you do, and bro, just don't take it like to the heart every time, because as long as you come with your heart first, whatever somebody's reaction is, you can't control it. Yeah. And it has nothing to do with you. If I come up to you genuinely and say, my name is Vic, I want to just bless you with a haircut, I mean that. And if you say like, man, get the fuck out my face, man, I got some, whatever, and this, that, I'm not mad, because I know like, all right, maybe he's going through some shit I can't even imagine or fathom right now. And I'm taking this one response or like interaction of this person, I'm trying to judge their whole life. And then people are naturally prejudiced. That's like a natural human, like, quality that we have, is we try to figure people out before we really know them. We just try to like naturally think about like, kind of person is this before I walk up to him. It's a natural thing, man. But like, I try not to do that. And, even earlier today, like today is a really weird instance because I'm hiring a new assistant. We're supposed to meet in the morning. He doesn't, his phone stops working. He's, I'll be there at 10:30 a.m. replying to me crazy all week. Yo, on point with it. I'll meet you 10:30. First time meeting him, doesn't respond, phone not delivering, doesn't show up. And I'm like, I could have, me maybe a couple years ago would have been like, you're fucking fired. How dare you like fuck up the first time meeting somebody in the first impression for a new job? Like, I'm like, man, I hope he's okay. I just hope he's okay. I'll figure it out once we get in contact again. If we get, I hope we get, contact. I hope he's all right. That's all I came down to, like, tell myself. And then, bro, it was just honest. He literally lost his phone last night. Like, it's a literal thing that happened, and was super apologetic to it and like attended to it. And like, I'm not going to judge from that experience. Like, I'm going to wait and see and let this person show me who they are. And I just, because
but if he did that like 4 more times,
if he did it 4 more times, like, now you got to be like, all right, dog, this is a cycle. This repeats, man.
Yeah,
so, but he's, I'm sure he's gonna agree. I'm gonna meet him later this week for the first time. He's a great guy from from our phone calls and stuff. But it's that first impression, and it's just like basing them off that, and then like taking it that way when people say things to you that or do things to you that you feel like hurts you, that maybe wasn't their intent, man. But they coming from other places, and you don't know that.
Yeah, and we're all on our own time too, as far as learning and understanding like what's happening, why it's happening to us. Because it's easy for us to make like an assessment without fully understanding everything. But it's never that simple.
But you like, for a lesson can't be learned till you go through it. I could tell you up and down, bro, all the right things to do, all the mistakes to look out for, all the lessons you're gonna go through, and like you could hear those things and process them and say, yo, Bradley told me to watch out for this type of person. I know, and I'm never going to make the mistake because he told me. But that's false. You're not going to know till you go through it. So you absolutely go through it.
Yeah.
You're not going to really get that lesson like you think you're going to get that lesson. I know it and I understand it logically, but like to like go through it, now I feel it on a different level, and I had to go through that within my life and business. It's like, obviously I'm a young guy, so I got older guys around me that really want to like help me get through things in my life and not go through the shit that they went through. And it's like you could keep trying to do that for me, but at the end of the day, I have to learn it from my own experience, and I got to go through it to really like, to a degree, for sure. Like, for sure. But you got to go through it for your own, your own opinion on that.
Yeah, for sure. Damn, well, that was it, man.
Yeah, those are great 3 questions.
Yeah, you crushed it.
Nah, you crushed it, dog. This was dope, man. This was fun.
Very good to meet you, man. Likewise. Blessing. I'm grateful. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, all that good shit. Go show love to Vic. I know you're big a fucking TikTok. Are you doing consistent YouTube stuff now?
We're on it. That's why he's here. That's why I'm fucking making, I'm standing on what I said I was going to do, and I'm making the decisions necessary. So like, we're doing it right now, so I'm working on it.
Good, man. I'm proud of you. I think
you, bro.
I think what you're doing is incredible. I just want that
Likewise,
to be,
bro.
to be
Likewise.
known for sure. Cool, man. That's awesome. We out of here.